how they're breaking their safe might be a lot. I think that's number one. Maybe even we see, which could be flex. So far, we want to see that. I would say for both of us, we want to see that in the jungle instead. So I think I like how they're taking their time, of course.
Hello.
Because we know what's on the line. They're going to ban out the Yuzhong though.
Assalamualaikum. Waalaikumsalam, no name.
By both these teams quite a bit.
Belum lagi lawan.
Hero of contention between both of them might even be some of the roamers like the
Selangor Red Giant. Dia sokong Selangor Red Giant. Iesf tu apa? International in-game esport federation.
Right now, everything we've seen, I don't know what the average game time would be, but if I had to like guess, probably around like 15
International
minutes,
Esport
like 13
Federation.
15 minutes. They're rather quick. So if you have a really
Betul,
good roamer
no
that
cap.
allows you to set things up early on, like an Iesf, like a Grok, a Minotaur, then great. But this is interesting, man. A chip first pick. When was the last time we saw chip first pick? Maybe day one. It's been a minute. Maybe in Africa qualifiers, but
Apa beza dengan MPL? Ini international, main negara ini, negara.
Completely slept on. We haven't
Bukan
seen Chip
team,
at all.
negara.
In the batting phase, we did see Chip, banned by both Indonesia and Myanmar, but actually it was Myanmar for both sides, on blue side and on
Ini
red side.
wakil negara.
It does seem like for Malaysia, at least for Yoms,
Bing
he has that
chilling.
line around him that he can actually make the chip work.
Bing
right?
chilling.
He's a very, very aggressive. Even saying that, Yoms is a very aggressive roamer sounds wrong because it feels like it's an understatement. Because if there's a word over,
Dianya wakil negara, cok. Wakil negara. Malaynya mana? Ini Malay, kiri. Malaynya kiri. Ni. Diwakili oleh tim Selangor Red Giant, guys. Selangor Red Giant wakil Malaysia, guys. Mewakili Malaysia.
Not with the chip though, it was with Moscow. They had the global presence, right as I say it on key.
Yeah,
Moscow
SRG.
as well. So double the global presence, double the activeness all around the map. And my question now is for Malaysia. Maybe we haven't been seeing a whole lot of
Hari ini
global
kita
presence
nobar
heroes
lah.
work too
Karena
well.
kalau
Is it because of the commitments
Malaysia
to the
menang,
objectives, right?
final
Specific to
jumpa
Moscow,
Indo.
it's great. You can participate in a lot of these
Indonya
fights. You
udah
can
di
stay
final,
active.
udah
You need some
main
land
tadi,
durability.
menang. Kalau menang
If
ini
you don't
jumpa
land
Indo.
durability, you're kind of forced into the bottom lane. You're kind of forced into the split
Kalau
push.
menang
You're
dapat
giving a
negara tu.
massive
Tak.
advantage to the
Kalau
opposing
menang
team.
dapat.
And in this particular case as well, it's not really a good matchup for the Moscow up against the Roger.
Tak.
Where will the chip fit in? How will the chip fit in? Because for Cambodia, it feels like
Ini
at
qualifier,
least for the Asian region
kelayakan.
qualifiers, Chip has
Kalau
to win
menang
some
pergi
prior
ke Riyadh,
whenever it
Arab.
has been picked up. We haven't really seen a convincing Chip
Kalau ke
play.
final,
I trust
kalau
Yoms,
ni
but
ke final
also
kalau menang
I don't
pergi
trust Chip.
Res, kalau final pergi Arab kan.
And even with all that, like I'm glad you really talked about the chip
Hanya
here, because
fokus
that's something
di
we just
semi.
haven't
Kalau
seen.
udah ke
It's almost
final,
like the Louis, like you said, in the same
udah pergi
position
ke
where it's
Arab.
like it's just fallen off for some reason, and teams have been
Pergi
struggling
Arab
to
kan,
make it work.
final.
And part of that also could be just we're not getting to the natural like late game stages
Yelah, pergi Arab.
of games that we're used to seeing, where those big ultimates really do cause a lot of issues later in the portion
Dari
of the
dia
game.
tu ni.
So it was Cambodia, by the way, that picked up the heroes that I was really talking about too. The Iesf is locked
Kalau
in.
menang,
They
tunggu
got
sana
themselves
je.
the Roger. Now they have the Turisla, which again it was Malaysia that banned out the Yuzhong. So they have a solid choice already for the first phase. for
Zik,
Cambodia,
perkena
and they
dulu
actually have a
ST
lot of
madu.
room to move around with this. Still in
Sekejap.
their mid lane option, Navari was banned out, but I think
Mamar.
Cambodia, they could even take up
Perkena dulu
a
ST
Farsa
madu.
if they wanted to, or one of these higher damage
Sahabat vertical.
options for
Kan.
the mid lane. Even Valentina.
TikTok lah perkena dulu
Valentina's
ST madu.
taken. So they have to kind of have
Sekejap,
a
ada
response
tak
to that. I
kena.
think the
Dia
gamble
nampak
with
biasa
Farsa
tapi
coming
ada
onto
yang
the
tak
crossfield
kena.
is like, do you want to give up
Teh
feather?
madu.
Like, do you also
betul lah,
want to give
teh
up the feathered airstrike?
Ke Arab
Because
ngapa?
then you're
Sebab
fighting
Arabnya
a
lagi
five-on-five
menganjurkan
fight.
e-sport
So
apa?
that's something that Cambodia has to deal with in terms of like what do they want to round this lineup out.
Yang
It's
SRG
a
siapa?
good, solid
SRG-nya 4
choice
orang
to
guys.
ban out
Yang Yoms,
multiple assassins,
Yom,
'cause
Sekis,
they don't wanna
Stormy,
deal with the
Gorgeous.
amount of snowball potential
Loliel
that we
ini
have here,
tim
like we
lain.
saw,
Tapi
throughout
dia
the
main
performance
sama
for
SRG.
Malaysia.
Wakil.
There you go. Last ban is actually interesting. It's Kadita here.
Yang lagi empat
Respecting a
itu
lot of the initial
SRG.
bursts that could actually be utilized by Cambodia as well, because with their composition, it already does one thing really well, which is locking you down. They have a penalty zone, they have the onward earth shatter, and obviously the primal rat that can pop in the immobility field. So for Cambodia, it really looks like they want to be the ones utilizing what Malaysia
Yang
did
tadi
to
None bilang
Indonesia.
nanya
They wanna force
kenapa
these
di
fights
Arab,
to go in
ngapa
one way,
Arab?
which is straight into
Karena
that,
Arab
straight into that
lagi
skirmish,
ni
locking them down and letting the back line just deal damage. But
menganjurkan
now the
banyak
question
uang
is,
Arab
with the Navaria and the
e-sport.
Kavita banned out, what's going to be the choice for Ra in
ML.
mid lane?
Semua gamenya nanti ke
We did
Arab.
see a Iesf from Ra yesterday. We have seen Ra pick up some of these heroes, but like you mentioned,
Tournament
it's balancing out
nanti.
already in the hands of Malaysia. They're going to have
Valorant enggak,
crazy
Valorant enggak.
levels of power if they go.
Enggak tahu, mungkin Valorant ada juga di Arab.
Steal, and we do get to see the Bane,
FIFA-nya
by the
di
way.
Arab.
Especially for Malaysia, because
Banyak
they
game.
I
Mainnya
guess
di
it's a
Arab
good
nanti.
deny ban. It's a good deny. Sorry, not ban
Arab
pick,
kaya,
deny
iya,
ban.
Arab kaya.
It's also a great pick for them because we were mentioning earlier how they need extra damage now to capitalize on the lockdown power that they already have with the Eden
Money.
Yeah, Bane does that. You know, with the Sky Piercer especially, you're shooting out execute bullets with that skill 1 and you're passive.
Iya, sebab
Demolishing
minyak.
an entire
Betul,
team
benar.
sometimes.
Oh,
Skies
Fanny.
will be on
Fanny
the
dia.
fan. It's a glue pick
Fanny
too.
Sekis.
Interesting stuff for Malaysia.
Sekis. Huh?
Okay. I wasn't expecting even the Fanny pick, but hey, when you ban nearly all the assassins that most of the junglers have been picking, why not pick up the Fanny? I'm not sure if we've actually seen on stream a Fanny game. One that I can recall, I can't really think of.
Not yet.
Maybe off stream they've happened, you know, off the stream. So this will be interesting to see how Malaysia goes with this, because I do think maybe they were leaning towards the Bane pick. So, but this is still going to put the Roger in the goal lane. Now that you have to Spain, unless
Ini
something
mau
crazy,
mau
some kind of crazy
jumpa
flex
Indo
happens,
nanti.
and then they get a
Nanti
Savior. This is kinda slipped
BO
my
berapa
mind, the
Indo ni
Savior
final?
pick, because I feel like
Dia
every
kata
time
BO5.
I've seen it pop up,
BO3
it's still good, don't get me wrong, but it takes a little bit time to really show its
Nah, wait,
effectiveness,
BO3
and
kalau
that's
BO
something that's
BO7?
natural about Xavier. All you Xavier
Apa
fans
bagus,
know this
eh?
out there too. You need to get to the late game, and so far, like what I'm saying, like Malaysia's games especially are not usually getting to that point. Like they're ending pre-15 minutes. And I feel like Xavier really
Dah
hits
bagi
that
dia
power
pick
spike and shines 15 minutes onward, or maybe even 18
Kalau dia ambil,
minutes
habis.
onward. When, you know, it's
Bagi
just
dia
a
hayah.
snappy cooldown, dawning light everywhere you go. And
Indonesian tak ikut, Indonesia itu Filipin.
Cambodia, and even with the Bane, because we didn't get to see it on stream. I can't wait to
Ini
see this
wakil
come up
negara
on full
ini,
game
Malaysianya harus orangnya
Bane with the Sky
Malaysia.
Piercer, with the burst build, it should be, right? We saw this for a couple of
Coach
seasons
coach
already.
dia
But
pakai
yeah,
orang sampai
Malaysia
Q.
off stream is the first time that we
Itu
are going to be seeing it stream.
dia
So, ladies and
pantau.
gentlemen, are you team
Biar
Bane
kalau Oni pakai
or
coach
team
shape ah.
Run the King on the
Ha,
Warcry
lagi mau
Roger?
bising Oni
Very,
oh.
very interesting stuff as we get into the land of Dawn for game number 1.
Ah, tengok Napa pakai Ben.
Who will be the
Ben
second team to qualify
Ben
to Iesf?
tak ada sebab retweet pakai dulu.
Yeah. Will it be Cambodia or will it be Malaysia?
Retweet pakai dulu, pakai long gun tu. Malefic gun. Hah?
What?
Mati.
What happened? Sorry, how Felix is not sorry.
Mas Kam, Mas tu apa? Mas tu Malaysia, Kam tu Cambodia.
Boxing just staying here. Now Gojas is actually in a very bad situation. He's gonna have to go back unless they just trap him under the turret. It looks like they're gonna do just that. So
Indo.
interesting. First blood already. Here
Mekak.
we go.
Sorry
Take a
anonim,
look.
sorry.
So it's not a
Ini
replay
lagi
now.
yang di
Yeah,
komen ni,
just
bacot
look
banyak
at this.
komen.
Like, what happened?
Sekis dia direct tak bangga. Sekis itu bagus. Dia enggak direct.
Oh, again in the mid lane, Stormy.
Hai.
Boxing is. Did I not say that
Main-main
the Eden has
ah.
been just performing like crazy? But look at the Fanny damage is going to be there. Under
Wah, Sekis
the turret.
aha.
And Skies will go and get this kill.
Sorry
Putting
kenapa?
Malaysia on the
Kerana
board now.
Indonya bacot dari
Just
tadi.
finding an answer
Lihat
to
komennya,
what I was
lihat
saying.
live chatnya, lihat.
Boxing is being a threat here on the seeded.
Well played, right? Because it's already very uncharacteristic for Malaysia, or maybe it is characteristic. Very
Ni
aggressive
lihat
start.
lihat Malay
Just
sama
Cambodia
je PUBG.
go
Bola
hardcore
sepak ML
against
senang.
aggressive
Pas awan
team
nangis
because
lihat.
they themselves
Bacot banyak,
are an
bacot,
aggressive
bacot.
team. Maybe for Cambodia, it's about them just looking in the mirror and seeing, oh, Malaysia plays the same way. It's just us, but in a different flag. with
Ah,
a
lihat,
different
lihat,
flag,
lihat,
with a
lihat.
different
Bacot,
composition
bacot.
here. And this lead that Felix has, by the way, in the bottom lane, when there's another skirmish, Edith.
Another skirmish all for the
Malaysia,
resources. As we
Indo
were saying,
bacot.
the
Kalau
lead
Filipin
that
tu pun sama bacot. Bocah
It's
Indo memang
a
banyak
big
bacot.
lead that the
Sama
team
aja
has.
semua. Malay pun
Will be
ada
able
yang
to go
bacot.
first. So Lucas on this Bane will actually have a very, very good time. Yums is still level 2.
Yeah, again, deadliest cash.
Wait, nak vote Malay ah? Malay, no name, Malay.
But man, deadliest catch.
Okay. Fokus.
Damage, and that's gonna get them the turtle as well as Lucas swoops in. Now
Aduh.
lockdown is on point.
Main-main lah.
Felix as he uses
Zik,
the
kenapa
penalty
Malaysia
zone
banyak
to
win
even
dan je
catch
sekarang ni?
skies. Huge win for
Hey.
Cambodia.
You can have sorry in your name, but it didn't look
Block
like he was
lu.
sorry at all.
Kalah guys.
Three
Kalah
kills
Malay.
that he gets all the way from the
Main-main
start
ni.
of the game. Cambodia starting things off really strong, and now
Tak apa, Lolia tak mati lagi.
top side again.
Again, the top side, Lalil gonna be in trouble. Couple hits
Kan
away, but
cakap
no
tak mati.
kill, and now Yums joins the fight. Darling Light gonna find Lalil.
Aduh. Sekis bagus.
One, but now Skies punishes.
Tak apa, Gorgeous tak mati lagi. Gorgeous tu penting. Orang kata dia camat. Siapa kata dia camat? Memang betul camat tapi dia power.
We were expecting Cambodia to be the aggressors, and we do see that here. We get to see the replay again as to what happened. Yums, we were talking about how he's super duper crazy aggressive. That was a term I think that we, agreed upon in the draft. And we do see that, but now it's just
Windah
wrong,
batu bata.
in terms of the timing there. He went in when he was level 2, and for the rest of the team as well, knowing that Gorgeous is at level 4, your roamer just died.
Zik yang jaga
There
dia
was
apa
no
family.
reason for them to really go for that skirmish. Sky is
Dia nama
losing out on a whole
Ganesan
lot
kan?
of momentum, and here not even able to deal a lot
Sekejap.
of damage on Lucas.
Time and time again, the combination into the deadly catch.
Bukan Ganesan. Ganeshan. Astaghfirullahalazim. Ganesan tu.
They find another target. The shortcut was already used as they come back through. Boxing will fall in Malaysia.
Camat Malaysia ni bos.
Possibly still be looking
Ganeshan,
for more.
bukan Ganesan.
Side has the body of Smith and the healing. And he's going to be just fine again.
Ganesan tu yang main api tu.
And now the top side looks like they ran a
Main
little bit
api.
further. Run the king trying to run away.
This
here
is
to get
Malay
the
bos.
turret, but will take
Tank mati tak apa guys.
Humes falls as well. Turtles now up here. Cambodia.
Halah kat chat tu semua bacot. Iya, enggak kisahlah. MPL kan enggak ke memang bacot semuanya.
Was trying to get the retribution off, but won't be there in time.
It did make him panic though, right?
Lihat,
Because
kalau
it
Malay
did seem
menang,
like,
Malay
for Aussie
bacot.
at least, he was able to be the
Dia
one
lihat
to
siapa
get
yang
the
menang,
turtle,
dia
and that
bacot.
Will be at least some resources given to the wrong member. So Lucas won't be able to
Level
fully
7
snowball, but
Laju
still, with 2 turtles at the start of the game, with this kind
Aduh, apa iklan ni? Rotasi kat ESP
I would
banyak.
say, up against the Fanny, you want to try to threaten
Bukan
to
tengok mana
purple
enemy
buff
banyak,
takes a few of these
rotate
times,
sana.
especially
Bukan.
considering the Fanny's
Pergi kat
behind,
ESP banyak.
not, at the optimal state, but
Tapi
still,
ESP tadi
he's
dapat
doing
ESP.
okay. It's not horrible for the Fanny. He was able to pick 3 kills up. Dying twice is still, quite okay at this stage of the game. He already has
Bukan
Sky
tengok mana
Piercer,
enemy kat atas, tapi
Cambodia.
kalau tak tolong
Now
orang
they
atas,
have
orang
to
marah.
try to lock Skies down in his own jungle. If they can
Tank,
go for the purple buff steal,
MM,
it will give them
tank,
such an easy
MM,
win in the
enemy.
mid-game. And the mid game is definitely the stage of the game that they want to utilize most in this
Yeah,
kind of
tank
competition.
tank
And
MM.
personally for me, if I take a look in Cambodia here,
Tank orang
you have
atas ni
to-
mati, lepas marah match
you
tak
gotta talk
tolong.
about the pattern, not the king.
Kenapa?
Whoa.
The king, he jumps
Wow, gorgeous ni bos. Senggol dong, camat Malaysia ni bos. Siapa kata dia beban?
Situation to be in now in the bottom side once again in the jungle. Lucas using the deadliest catch to try to escape. Looks like it's
Mana-
gonna be
mana
enough. The
glue?
shortcut goes down. Skies
Oh, arti
trying
yang
to
ni.
possibly enter from the backside there.
Terry's line. Sorry, I'm Felix ni team mana?
Look at Skies on the
Burmese
map.
goal
He is- I don't think
Bukan.
he's going to be able to actually find his entry point he was looking for because they're ready to play defensively on this, but he's still going to be planted. There he goes down in the mid
jauh
lane and
pergi.
will escape. But Malaysia, I'd say they're still doing pretty good at keeping things even, but now
Tutor
the
Talis
revenge.
lah ada
Cambodia
di
will go on the top
YouTube
side. Lolio
20%.
could be in trouble. The flicker from boxing, but he
Tak apa, tak
flickers
apa.
out. Lolio
Jadi
can't
ada
escape the
nak
last
buy one
bit
dengan kau,
there.
nama dia
From
Yazid
the deadliest
RKO.
catch, and Hughes will go ahead and flicker out of the dawning light, surviving a little bit longer.
Yazid RKO.
Turtle now up,
Siapa
though.
pula? Yazid
Malaysia,
member
just
aku
as I
kan
was
dia.
saying, doing pretty good staying together.
Yazid
Lose a
RKO
couple
nak
key
buy one
battles
dengan
here,
Yazid.
and once again, Primal Wrath going to be used into the dawning line on
He is
Stormy,
RKO.
forcing him back and run the king, making him run for his life. Will get the flicker out, so Cambodia will now secure themselves the 3rd turtle of the game.
3 neutral objectives, but if you take a look at the gold lead, it's only just about 1,000. It's creeping up at that 2,000
Bak
mark for the
kata
gold
orang Malaysia
lead,
baik
but
masukkan
this is not
cepat
really going to be
repo,
that
betul?
good for Cambodia, at least at this stage of the game.
Kita
They
ada
would want
darah
to have a
muda.
bigger lead, especially
Tak-
considering
tak
they started the game
kahwin-kahwin
off with
lagi.
amazing snowball. maybe getting that. Oh,
Tengok
again.
dia tak gojek, tak
Could be
gojek.
utilized. Just trying to hold down this bottom side, but they also get the split out. So Cambodia, and you're starting to see things kind of really fall into place for
Glue, okay,
your
glue.
Big Daddy on this pick, this Xavier pick, like we said, scaling up pretty good this early on in the game with the kind of lead that they've managed to get.
Okay, so again, if we take a look at the lead on paper, if you just take a look at Cambodia's composition, it's not really that good. They want to be a little bit safer with a bigger lead at this point of the game. But then you take a look at the Xavier, right? And you can think to yourself, hey, yeah, no problem. They have a Bane, they have a Xavier. Even if it goes to the late game, the Bane's going to be a big
Oh,
problem.
tu main
Xavier's gonna
rapat-rapat,
be an
you
even
know.
bigger problem. And the fact that Lucas is already
Lepas
so
tu
tanky means that they wanna go for
si
these
Chip tu
skirmishes.
teleport.
It's the timer to go
Wow.
for it.
Oh, ini meta push guys.
Just run it down. Just run it down mid, get the turrets.
Meta
get the
push.
resources, just
Meta
push
push,
everybody
guys.
out. Shortcut going to be used. They might be forced to fight here onward. Goes in, Earth Shatter, not going to find the connection
Lihat,
they're looking for. But
ISRG tu bijak guys. Dia menggunakan metanya di tournament. Tok kalah mati. Akhirnya Gorgeous mati. Tapi yang penting atas tu udah tinggal satu tower guys. Ni. Satu tower ni. Yums.
They want to get that tier 2 in the mid, but Cambodia just coming out swinging in game number 1.
That was just so forced by Malaysia, man. The fact that Yums already went in, popped in the
Hidup
short
Kamboja.
cut,
Ho, ho,
even
ye.
with the summoner to rotate
Tengok,
back
ada
into
imposter.
the teleport. They were already
Imposter.
able to force out Ra to flicker out just based on just with the shortcut alone. So they already got a little bit of a W there. But the fact that they
bukan
tried to push
Ganeshan,
even
Greshan.
further
Silap.
with the Spear of
Greshan.
Destruction at the 9th minute of the
Bukan
game from
Ganeshan.
Remolio, who was already 1 and 2 before that team fight even started. And the fact that he took it, that Spear of Destruction landed in the midst of the Cambodian mid-game power spike that they have. And he took it. That was an interesting play from Lolio. One that I'm not a fan of. And you can definitely see now Cambodia, with a 4,000 gold lead, they're going to go and force the issue.
Once again, Lord here for the taking. It's
tak
gonna be
dapat
Lucas
lagi.
that
Tak apa.
secures it. They might be forced to fight. The shortcut already dropped down. Yum's gonna be in trouble as Run the King will get another notch on the kill list.
Dok push bawah.
Get that push on the bottom side, but at what cost as Cambodia furthers their lead and now
Z ADMN nanti kau ADMN mereka
It's
bersama
well played to
Kod
Cambodia,
Santish.
obviously, right? They're doing so many of the correct things. They're able to punish every
jangan
single
ejek dia orang.
mistake. Even the
Tak
minor
tahulah,
mistakes
ini pun
coming
nak
from
main game
Malaysia.
perang nanti.
Also for Malaysia, this is a completely different team. The number 1 of each group, Group A and Group B.
Entah dulu lah,
Group
oh.
A in that match.
Tu lah hari tu invite dolar kata. Tak mau, orang dah invite custom. Unsur masuk. Tak mau.
Cambodia continue the
Oh.
siege.
Oh, the siege, the penalty zone already dropped under the turret. They're going to be forced to fight once again. And look, I'm sorry, I'm Felix jumping to the backside, just decimating Malaysia. Only Skies left alone and also
Kalah.
Gorgeous. But I don't think it's going to be enough as the Lord makes its way to the base. And they focus
GG.
it down. And Cambodia will take first blood in the best of 3 series.
Ni, tok komen. Awak custom time main dengan abang kau tak. Suruh masuk je. Bukan suruh main. Subscriber only mode. Tapi ramai subscribe kan. Anjay. Bot Malay bot kocak. Malay kocak. Tengok bot. Tengok banyak komen. Bot. 10 minit. Bising lah. Simple intentional. Easy server.
We did say
Weapon.
that
OMG.
Cambodia definitely could make the adjustments, the necessary adjustments from their performances in the group stages against
Malaysia
Myanmar
cemas
and
terakhir
also
cut
against
kan.
Thailand because
Astaga.
again, technically for the mistakes that they made in the group stages, it is very
Nanti
easy to
Kamboja
adjust
kalah
from
tu
that. It
kau
was
jadi
just the
bot
discipline.
Kamboja.
They were
What the
already
hell?
winning in the early game. They already
Tak
had
ada,
amazing,
dia tak kaya
amazing,
Kamboja, dia tak ada
plan
kena-mengena. Ni
every
kalau
single
menang dia
game,
ejek
in
Indo
every
itu
single
je.
early game, because they were
Kamboja
always
yang tak ada
able to at
kena-mengena.
least get the first few neutral objectives, or even if they
Waduh,
don't, get the
Mas
team fights.
Mas
And all
Joggers
from the start, Malaysia were just playing with too much aggression. You love to see Malaysian aggression, but at this point,
Tengok,
with
dia
their
tak ada,
composition,
dia
you have to respect that
kalau-
Cambodia actually have a lot of early game
dia
power
kalau Malaysia
themselves.
lawan je.
The fact that they
Ada
invaded
datang
up against
Indo.
the Terizla. We already know that the Terizla is a really
Indo lah
really good
selalunya.
level
Kalau
one.
Malaysia lawan
In fact,
Filipina,
you have
Filipina
three
datang.
abilities at level 1. You have 3 swings of that skill too. And yet they still tried to go for that. They thought that their base damage would be enough. But even then, if you made those mistakes in the early game, usually we would
Tapi
see
best
teams
juga kalau
adjust
Filipina
and
lawan Indo,
plan
dia
for
orang
the
gaduh
next
juga.
skirmish. What
Tak
Malaysia
adalah tak
did
gaduh,
was,
mesti gaduh
"Nah,
je.
you know what? Let's try to do that again." They went in. Yums, level 2. Gorgeous was level 3. They had no chance.
Zik,
Commit and to even contest
dah
that
tahu,
chip.
dah tahu. Hey.
Yet they did. They
Dah
forced
tahu
it out.
jawapan.
Did not work out
Hey.
for them.
Tak,
They
no name
still
jawab,
lost.
no name
They
jawab.
kept on
No name,
going
no
for
name tau.
Cambodia. But luckily for Malaysia, they were able to go and for some of these big fights to actually turn the game around once again. They were able, I wouldn't say it's like a full
Aduh,
turnaround, but
boleh
it's
ni.
almost like a half turn, right? Because they were able to lower the goal lead from a 2,000, 3,000 goal lead, as you can see from the 4th minute of the game, down to just a 2,000 goal lead. So 1,000
itu.
goal lead.
Jawapan
And this
no name.
part of the game here. You can see that Malaysia goal just climbing back up as they get a lot of these skirmishes. But again, they decide to go for these skirmishes in a very like unique way. There were some mistakes also, by the way, for Run the King, that like and pounce that actually he could have escaped, like you mentioned, nicely during the play-by-play of this moment. But this was the biggest mistake that Malaysia made, and it was literally just mistakes over mistakes, and just both of them reacting to these mistakes. Because I'm sorry, but an 8-minute 1 and 2 Moscow will never be able to win in that team fight. There is no way that would have worked out. I'm trying to find a reason as to why he did that, and it's just a pure mistake. That was just a big blunder. Because, again, it just made no sense to go in like that. And in the end, they again just tried to 50-50 it for some reason. Technically with their composition, okay, never mind. Not for some reason. This is a very, very logical reason. They have a composition that doesn't do too well, especially when it comes to wave clear. At this point, they're kind of forced to fight. But hey, Cambodia, they
Zik,
took the game.
kolam apa
Very,
yang paling
very good
besar kat
stuff from
dunia?
them. As we will have to just see the adjustment from Malaysia in game number 2. Cambodia also stayed very, very disciplined, by the way.
Kolam apa yang
utilizing
paling besar kat
all of
dunia?
their leads, all their
Kolam-
advantages early on. And you can see from the damage from
Kolam
the
mandi,
XPM,
kolam.
GPM, or just
Kolam.
the goal here, the
Kolam.
total healing as well. The
Kolam
Cambodia
kat India.
took everything. Skies was doing pretty well. And we were talking about how, for
Tak
Cambodia,
tahu.
the next thing they
Jawapan
need to look
apa?
out for
Kolam
is
kat
how
India,
to
betul?
shut down Skies.
Kolam kat
But
India.
even then, they didn't do it, and Skies just always try to go into the back. Gets cancelled by a lot of these abilities, and I have to say, the Deadly Catch is a very, very good tool to counter the Fanny. You jump in, and now it's not the old Fanny where you can actually use the cables and go through.
Tengok, lihat dolar itu guys. Lihat dolar itu guys.
That's where we saw the big weakness from Malaysia, always just going in, never really respecting
Aduh,
any of these
anjay.
tools coming in from Cambodia.
Yeah, I think the idea for it, even the Fanny, when we saw it in the draft, it was kind of like, well, they went and Cambodia banned out all of these assassin heroes, and
Brother,
maybe it was just something where, like, they wanted to take the risk by picking up the Fanny. I think Fanny is still, even though this is like the rise.
Habis dolar, kau akan masuk dalam ni dolar. Boleh dolar.
I think Fanny
Allah.
is still
Silap.
very difficult to pull off, and only certain players can really pull off a good Fanny game.
Kau akan masuk dalam ni dolar.
Part of it, and something that
YouTube Shorts
are
nanti.
going to have to kind of consider if they want to go that assassin route. You can already see it here too. Raw, your big daddy gets player of the match here again. Just a great performance from him, and something that I was saying, like you need time to build up, right? You need time to scale up here on this Xavier pick, but this
Kau akan
this
masuk
game
shot
doesn't
nanti
have
dolar.
that many like crazy items or anything. He's just got the enchanted talisman and the lightning trunk. He's got one glove, right? He's got some adaptive attack and a little magic damage there too, and some cooldown reduction. But that's all he needed, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times he was just laying down the Mystic Fields, landing Dawning
Ten,
Lights. It was on point
ten,
every single
ten,
time.
dolar
And
jahat.
I think obviously if you got to
Rar,
later
big
of
dad.
the game, later portion of the game, then it would have been way more
Banyak
devastating.
boga.
Like with this and the way things were kind of unfolding and the way that Sariam Felix started the game for Cambodia was a very key component for them winning this game as fast as they did against a team
From
like
-4
we were saying
to
with
Riyadh.
Malaysia. Like we know Malaysia defeated Indonesia earlier in the group stages. Like what happened here for them? Because for me, Cambodia just completely demolished them here in game 1.
That's why I was saying, at least before the drafts, when we got to the match card, I was already saying that, okay, so on paper, theoretically, Malaysia are just the heavy favorites coming into this matchup, and I think that should be the case. They were able to top their group, beating Indonesia 2-0, having a stellar performance in their group stage. and
Zik,
coming
nyanyi
into this
lagu
all
buang
momentum
semua
world, because
skibidi.
again, for this lineup at least, even in
Skibidi.
their own, domestic league,
Skibidi.
they haven't lost a single
Apa lagu ni? Jap.
But then Cambodia decided to deny the big pick away that we were already talking about for Malaysia. You know, that bane's going to be massive. The chip that we were already doubting all throughout the African regional qualifiers. And even now,
2004 kenapa
especially
bang?
now,
Betul lah
with the
Aceh.
patch
Di Aceh
coming
itu.
out. We haven't seen Chip
Itu
do,
lihat dollarnya, tak
we've
joke
seen
itu.
it once and it was from New Zealand
Apa
up against
lagu je?
Guam. That didn't do too well, and now we get another sample.
Macam mana irama dia lupa ah?
Example of the chip just falling flat, not able to really go for any of these aggressive maneuvers. Well, I mean, he did go for the aggressive maneuvers. He just
Dah
wasn't
betul,
able to
makanya
make it work.
Ronaldo ada anak.
Always from the early game as well, trying to go for these
Astaghfirullahalazim.
fights, but maybe miscalculating the damage. Maybe it's because Chip has been banned out so many times, maybe even in scrims, that we don't get to see a whole lot of Chip. And maybe for Yogs, it becomes a little bit inexperienced when it comes to that hero again. Meanwhile, for Cambodia, it just feels like even their swap to Lucas, by the way. Shout outs to them. We were talking in the rosters as well that if they do decide to go for Lucas, they'll probably go for a more utility build, a more utility jungler. Bane technically fits there. He's a damage
Ronaldo,
player, but
makanya
he's not
Ronaldo
utility,
ada
he's a
anak.
fighter, not really that
Buang.
assassin that we expected to Zoo. So the fact that they decided to pull in Lucas, try to go for the
Sekejap,
objectives,
nak
try to
dengar
go
dia
for
punya lagu
disciplined
jap.
gameplay, and they were able to beat Malaysia, the favorites of the Asian regional qualifiers, that easily. 10 minutes and 30 seconds. That's not a tough game at all for Cambodia. They steamrolled through. And obviously that also came
Meow,
through with a
meow,
lot
meow,
of
meow.
mistakes from the Malaysian players. Mainly the fight in the mid lane. Shortcut used up, still trying to force it. Spear of Destruction.
Astaghfirullahalazim.
8-minute 1-2
Dullah.
Moskov that probably didn't even have DHS yet. It's probably just Corrosion Scythe and the Golden Staff.
Mana?
Jumping into 4.
Yeah.
4 snowbally beefy boys. Nice.
I think that's when you're like,
That's a big feat. You mentioned it in the player of the match.
Ni eh.
It's actually Xavier. It's actually
Buang semua skibidi antara Giat dan Sigma. Kau bunuh dia, imposter.
There's so the range at least for Malaysia was just so low. They
Teruk,
couldn't put
teruk.
any of their range, and that's why their wave clear was horrible. Coming into that final lord, they just
City up the city up the man, you take the man out of the
I'm not sure if they would have been able to end in the 10th minute and the 30th second, but
Chicago. I feel
the main problem's got to
it.
be maybe for the
The
composition.
version of me. Oh, kan.
Chip is great. Then you add the Moscow. 2 heroes that can go and have a global presence. Okay, that's where you should stop. Then you go to with the Fanny. How's the Fanny going to, utilize the shortcuts? You dash towards the shortcuts, I guess, but then later on you get teleported, and it's kind of hard to, predict where the
Where do I
walls are gonna
cable?
be. Where the cables, where you need to shoot those cables.
yeah.
When I saw the Fanny pick, that's when I got confused because it almost seems like they were playing chess. They were thinking so far ahead that they forget the next few steps.
Eh guys, nanti
Yeah.
mau main enlisted di YouTube atau di
That's
TikTok
why I
guys.
was wondering, like,
Ini tak ada
from the
MML.
draft, I felt the same way, man. Because I was looking at some of the stats and stuff here too. It's like the chip. If you're gonna pick a first pick, I don't think you want to be sending your Fanny through the shortcut. Like unless the idea was we want to snowball as hard as we can. Where then maybe it makes sense because
Then don't
you
invade level 1, right?
then don't
Tak
invade
tahu.
level 1 because then it's like
Ni
if you were
rasanya
able to
ML nggak ada ini
a
guys.
snowball for your Fanny, and then you go through the shortcut. Then it's like, whoa, where's all this damage come from? But still, it is a little difficult to figure out, where the walls are going to be. How are you going to go through that portal and everything? And so I almost would have liked to see if they did want to go with the chip play here, which they wanted to as first pick. It was priority for
Tak
them.
tahu.
Then maybe don't.
Sebab hari
pick-
ni Nobar aja guys.
What I would say is
Mereka
like,
pun
the
on
most
enlisted
difficult
nanti.
jungle to work right now as an assassin hero, because there were so many other options that were banned out obviously, and then I feel like you could have just gone even utility. Like you could have possibly just went with utility and made that work. I can't recall, but I don't think the Bakshas were banned out. We haven't seen Barretts in forever, but maybe that could have been something they pulled through. Even if it wasn't the Barretts, I think part of the game plan too could have just been they wanted the Bane. Maybe that was part of it. Like we wanted the Bane and they got stolen, like you said in the draft, where it was like, nah, nah, fam, you're not getting we're getting the Bane, and we're working with that. So I think even maybe part of the game plan initially started away for Malaysia, and then it just took like a curveball because the Fanny was a big scratch to my head. Obviously the damage was great early on, like you saw it in those early fights and those early skirmishes, but it just wasn't enough to deal with and this could also just be the fact that because of the first blood and the fact that the snowball already happened for Sarion Felix, that could have just thrown the game plan completely out. Been one of those mistakes where it's just like, that's such a big detriment to the idea that we came to this game with, that now we're just hoping to find pickoffs where we can.
Udah pick.
Mistakes were made, obviously, from Malaysia in that game number 1.
Definitely felt like the Fanny was forced because you were mentioning, the box share could have been an option to go for. Some of these utility junglers could be an option. And yeah, it really could have because Cambodia, they didn't ban any of the utility junglers. They actually went a different route. They went the opposite route. In the second phase of the bans, they took away the Nolan and the Hayabusa. And they got rid of the Ling already. They picked up the Roger. So they have first pick in the second phase. And they were able to pick the Bane. So they literally shut down Skies in the draft, forcing him to play either a utility jungler or force out a Fanny. And we saw how the Fanny turned out in game number 1. We'll see in game number 2 if Malaysia want to try to utilize the same thing here, if they want to leave the chip open and maybe pick it up again. Because for Cambodia, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're going to go for the exact same bans they did in game number 1. It's only different here in terms of the sides, because Cambodia will be on the blue side this time around. Malaysia will be on red side. And for Malaysia, it is the Harith ban actually for them. So they're the ones to respect that. Cambodia were the ones to ban it out on the red side previously with the Ling and the Lo Yi. And now we'll see a different ban for Cambodia. I wonder what it's gonna be. It might be the Fairness, honestly, but they might also ban out the Valentina. Because if they ban out the Valentina, it gives them proper setup to pick up something like the Fairness first pick. And we know that Cambodia have been, getting a whole lot of wins with Ra and the Fairness. A lot of success.
Yeah, I was gonna say Fairness is interesting because
just mengamuk, guys.
Most notably, the player that I can think about that really shined on the Fairness was Justin from Myanmar. And it was unfortunate, that they lost the last match here. But, when Fairness is open, it's a possibility to get great poke damage, and then obviously NetherRealm the way that works. But I think either way, both these teams are still going to try to prioritize Roger pick. Maybe they go that route. They want to lock that in because even if you pick it up first on the blue side, it's still technically flex. It's flexible. Charizla being in this last ban for Cambodia in the first phase is interesting. It might also allow them to, if they want to, pick up the Yu Zhang early on, or, even the X-Borg has been a hero that has done wonders for a lot of teams that are able to draft it early on in the first phase. But again, for Malaysia, they still have some choices. They could also, because of the fact that we only have the banned out, this could open things up for a possible game for Hayabusa this time around. So the last ban is Chip. They actually still going to ban Chip out, despite how we talked about the first game going. So a lot left on the table here. It is, like I said, it's going to be the Roger first pick. You can actually still flex it in, like we said, in the gold lane, but probably better in the jungle. So Malaysia's answer here, with a lot being open and a lot priority, they could lock in their XP lane. They could lock in, an early gold lane. We've seen a lot of Claudes now recently. Claudes popping back up. The Mozgov, like you said, it didn't work too well for Loleel. It was a little bit of an oops there, an oof. So we'll see what the game plan is.
Ada 2 slot, guys.
Hopefully get them to
Aduh.
game 3.
Kenapa nggak
Again, for
upgrade
everyone
waktu
watching this
beli?
live right now, I gotta tell you that this is an elimination match. It's a playoff match and an elimination match. If you lose here, you don't get a shot to play in the main stage. So topping your groups, all the crazy hype that we've been seeing, they lose here.
Belum main lagi dia.
Cambodia, they're playing around that. It seems like they just love playing as the underdogs.
Ya, dah bising ah.
The Valentina and the Nolan to respond and
No,
over.
no baik.
Anticipating the
Ni
fairness.
kalau boleh
Like I
elokkan
mentioned
dengan Malaysia ah.
earlier, I think if Cambodia really
Tapi orang
wants
Malaysia
to play
select.
fairness, they should have gone
Tapi
for
tak
it.
tahulah
The
orang Malaysia.
fact that they went for the Charizla means that maybe they might want to go for something different. What is that going to be though?
Siapa
With
ni?
the Terizla banned out, they want to go for something like a Yuzong. Just a
Josel.
little bit more aggression, some XP threat as well, because yeah, we have been seeing Yuzong and Terizla being the two main picks in the XP lane. It's been kind of one-dimensional in a way. But they go
Buang
for the
semua
Xavier and the
skibidi
Edith. This is like so
antara
early on.
Giat
Xavier in the
dan
first phase.
Sigma.
Is it that prio? Is my question, right? We have seen it rising in popularity in ranked games and some of the games as well that we've been casting here in the Asian regional qualifiers. But I think aside from the game that we saw earlier, we haven't really seen Xavier pop off that hard. Like, it's just that previous game. And that was
Mungkin akan bosan, tapi dia akan seru bila ada Indo, guys.
Also getting the early game still
wajar nanti Indo.
But technically they have the same tools. They have the Xavier, but they also have the Edith and the Roger. So technically it's almost pick by pick the same exact draft, except for the Terizla, obviously they're already banned out, so they'll have to look for a change there. Before Malaysia, they still go for the Moscow, which is cool. I understand you want to use this, the global presence. We did see how the Moscow was good for them, at least against Indonesia. As long as Lolios, stays back, understands when he can actually go for these fights, understands that power spike, it'll be as good as the match against Indonesia. But if he does the same thing that he did in game 1, Naisu, I'm just gonna call it. I'm just gonna say it's over if he does that again.
if he does it again, yeah, I agree with you, man, because I think part of this too, it's almost the same game plan. Like, because you have a Nobar
Buang
there,
semua
take the early advantage,
skibidi.
snowball as hard as you can, and start doing what we saw from Indonesia in the previous game without
Apa
birds
dengar
even.
bunyi your team is
And so
banning?
part of that is like you hopefully they don't go in and invade and give up the first blood. I think that's step number 1. And depending on how they draft
Hidup
the second
ML,
phase, as we
bukan
get the bans, it's really what is that
bukan
because
apa
you know,
namanya,
time and time
bukan
again, Edith, I feel like Edith's stock is going up. If you love Edith,
Really
you're
is.
Edith main, she's getting just unreal.
bukan bukan
all over
HOK.
competitive play. And there's a reason for it. Like a lot of the times, it's her ability to just make fights happen, force fights. You can even use it to
Hidup,
disengage or
hidup.
heal. But a lot of times, we just see Edith being so aggressive. Even in MLBB Women's yesterday, we saw this happen and be a key component to teams winning. So you kind of have to, if you're Malaysia, what are you going to pick up for a roam? The Gronk is already banned out. You don't have that as an option. You took out the Angela. The Bane is actually just coming out for a ban too. They don't want to deal with that, but I would almost like to see them pick up a Minotaur with this lineup because, and I almost would have liked to see the Minotaur be a priority with the Vexana that it's open, because that combination of CC is
Trial
so
for what?
good
Trial.
for teams that have picked it up. That's such a good duo of heroes that, half the time the enemy team's in the air with the knockup. So instead, Matilda is going to be banned out. So I think for Malaysia, I'd almost consider picking up a Minotaur here. Get a little more tankiness to you. As long as the Minotaur doesn't get shut down, then it does become a menace, because you're just trying to find setups and then follow up with the Nolan, but they go the Cho instead. Now, we don't know just yet, is it going to be Rome? Is it going to be parked in the XP lane like we saw Ruby DD do? I don't know. For Malaysia, I think it's better if it is Rome, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be better for Rome, especially considering, Yums has played the Cho a lot in, the domestic league in MPL Malaysia. We haven't seen Gojas play a whole lot of Cho, especially in the XP. So, I was about to say, you said the Minotaur. I was about to say, not a big fan of the Minotaur pick, especially for Yums. He's an aggressive guy, especially in this meta. You want him on a proactive pick. You don't want him to be reacting on a lot of these engages, a lot of the poke as well. But then they go for the Cho. Even though that does fall in the criteria that I just mentioned, proactive, initiation.
Buang semua skibidi.
Oh man, I was about to say I'm not a big fan of the show because against
Chow.
Xavier, against the Roger,
Chow
these
Yums
two
kuat,
are
guys.
purified. Then you're technically going to lose a lot of value.
Tapi
And
semua
now there's a
kebal lah.
monster that can dive
Roger
in.
dilepaskan
There's an
lagi.
expert here to
GG
answer through this
WP.
damage output that Cambodia have. But again, if any of these carries, by the way, again, same thing that we saw from last game. If any of these short-range carries walk up, they're gonna get caught by an onward, an earth shatter, some of these taunts as well, some claws coming from the Roger, a Xavier in immobility field, and last but definitely not least, the Thunder Pierce. You heard that right. Thunderclap plus Sky Piercer. That's what we saw from Lutfi in game
Buang
number 1 of match number 1 on the Masha.
skibidi
And then game number 2 was banned out, so
antara
Cambodia
kita.
took a page out of that poke, trying to utilize the same thing. And I love it. For Cambodia, they have the tools to actually take control of the game all the way from the start. Start that snowball, and maybe get a clean sweep here, Naisu.
Like, not only do I see good potential for snowball, but even late game value is here for Cambodia. So Malaysia's gonna have to do something.
Let's go Malaysia, let's go.
Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, will Malaysia be able to equalize here and to
Jangan kalah, malu lah kalah Cambodia. Serius.
eliminate Malaysia with a clean sweep, putting themselves onto the main stage for Iesf WEC 24 Riyadh. It's Skies and a Nolan, a signature pick of his. Same goes for Lucas on the utility jungler for Cambodia. He was able to make it work in game 1. Let's see on the Fredrin. Anything changes. Lucas, Concussive Blast, wants to try to hold and, at least equal the crazy clear speed of the Nolan here. But you can already see that Skies is level 3, a level ahead. Hume's already very aggressively invading the enemy jungle.
This is a good invade. They're most likely just going to get the retribution out.
Your big day. Oh, itu ke?
Looks like that's all they want to do, but also Sari and Felix going to help.
Itu
bring it back up,
ke?
and that's what we're talking about. One of the things that Malaysia. Okay,
Lucas?
They get the full reset. So he
Oh,
doesn't wanna
SYS,
use the
Sim Soon.
retribution. I guess they get the information that he didn't either, and that he doesn't have orange buff. Lucas in trouble trying to get the turret, and that's not going to be enough. That was definitely a mistake coming out from Lucas. What happened there? And it's going to happen more. More punishes under the turret. Sorry, Felix might be next.
Let's go.
In Malaysia. Talk about a strong start, a snowballing start. Exactly.
Let's go,
what they needed
crap.
with this lineup.
Huh?
What was that,
Crap.
Lucas? I'm actually kind of speechless there after watching that play. He had the angle already. The rest of the team had already bought him enough time, bought him enough space to actually go for it. And he decides to go for the other camp instead of utilizing Boxy's hold onto the orange buff. And now he's going to be behind quite a bit. And because of everybody rotating to help him, the whole team's going to be behind. Lucas kind of, gave Cambodia a hard time in the early game now. And now they're going to have to go and fight an uphill battle. There's 3,000 gold below, and Skies, he has
Kalau
no
Malaysia,
intention of going for the turtle. He
ha.
wants to continue
Indo
this
waka
deny. He wants to continue this
waka.
punish from Lucas, and he'll do so.
Thailand 5.
Lucas finally now using
5.
retribution.
Tak faham,
It's a
tak
bit too
faham.
late, buddy. That window has
Menang kan
closed,
Malaysia.
and now it's the
Ni tadi
Malaysian
Malaysia tu
snowball.
nak test meta je.
He's level 3.
Untuk lawan
Here
Onyx
go to,
ni.
the level 6
MSC.
of Skies right now. That is.
Woi, minggu ni
no
banyak
concussive
Nobar tu.
blast or not, like we were talking about, trying to keep up with Skies. At this point, you're
Ui, jauh
just
beza
stuck
tu.
trying to farm, trying to be in the jungle. And look at that way, Dragon already going to be used on boxing, able to survive with the flicker, but a flicker from Stormy, and now here comes Yumes, goes in.
Ui,
The assertive
jauh beza.
guy goes in forward. Yumes will pick up the next kill.
Dah level
now.
7
Six on
Sekif.
4 kills for
Fedrin boleh
Malaysia
4.
in total. You're gonna get this turtle as well, Lucas.
Lu
Not sure if he
pecah.
can really do anything with that, so he's just gonna have to watch the turtle secured. Now Malaysia furthering the lead, and now they want to punish Lucas
Asal
even
letak atas
more.
ni?
Back for the orange
Aish,
buff.
banyak silap lah.
Force him back, he's gonna rely on boxing. Boxing now gets the level 4 available for this Edith. It looks like now top side run the king.
Wah, ini kali Malaysia menang guys. Lihat, kena Russo mulu. Hilang semua skibidi.
3.5 minutes in as Malaysia full snowball mode already.
3 minutes, and it already seems like it's going to go to a game 3 again.
Yumes goes in with the way of the dragon.
Mantap lah Yumes. Tak apa, tank mati tak apa guys. Uish, asal Yumes pakai Kemboja punya flag. What the hell? What the hell, Yumes?
This is once again Malaysia just dominating on all sides of the map. Even the jungle, Lucas will not see a buff here. The Skies furthers his lead. Level 8, almost level 9 against Lucas, level 5.
What a stomp this is, right? For Malaysia, they have a 5,000 gold lead at the 4th minute of the game. They're beating the clock at this point. I don't think I've seen a gold lead this massive
Kill
this
dalam
early on
turret.
in the game. Usually it's still 2 to 3, and now
Itu
it's
kalau
only
tank
Lucas
mati
wants to
nggak
fight
apa-apa
back.
guys.
Lucas again? I mean,
Yang ruginya
talk
mereka
about the
guys.
pick-off potential with the
Karena
choke
tank
hit,
itu nggak dapat
and
duit.
it's happening time and
Kan
time
dia udah
again
beli ROM.
in the hands of Yumes. Even
Duitnya
questionably, like, what is Lucas doing
akan di-share
there?
oleh
At one point, I think he's
tim
just
lain.
a little-
Kira
he's
yang
probably a little
untung
tilted with the way the early
yang
game
lain.
went. I mean, he's not getting any buffs, any farm, and now Sari and Felix going to be dealing with the last insanity under the turret. Will flicker out, but it's still Stormy and Gojez here.
Yang
Diamond
si
Light gonna
tanker
try
tu
to help
dapat
the fight,
dikit.
but it's not gonna be enough. We'll go ahead and get some of these health bars back up. But look
Lihat,
at this,
lihat, lihat.
Lucas. You want a buff, you're not gonna get it because Humes even zoning him out. Lucas has to rely on the rest of the team to get here to help him. Just secure it, but look at the damage already coming out from Skies. They're going to fight under the tier 2. All for the orange buff, but they might punish him back.
Oh,
Skies
lah,
does
sekis
fall,
mati.
but now Sariam Felix on the run. Won't be able to get away.
Ada ke tank?
But another kill
Itu
gets
tank,
picked up
Chow,
for
Chow
Lucas,
tank.
and it
What?
could be more. Run the king on the run for Stormy. Stormy
Wah.
will get away, and he will get
Enggak apa-apa,
shut
enggak apa-apa, enggak
down.
apa-apa.
A turnaround
Itu Chow
for
tank.
Cambodia.
Chow itu
Some way,
orang
somehow,
yang bikin
Malaysia
fighternya
overstays.
di rank. Kalau di
How do they
tournament
do
itu
that? They won
dibikin
against a
tank.
5,000 gold lead, snowballing composition of Team Malaysia with a Nolan, a Valentina,
Kalau di
an
rank
expert.
itu
This whole
mungkin
team was
ada
built
jumpa
to
tank,
secure the
ada
early
Chow
mid game,
tank,
and
Chow
the
fighter.
fact that they had a 5,000 gold
Tapi
lead,
kalau di tournament
man,
tu kebaikannya
Malaysia
pakai
overstayed
tank.
so much. The turtle was up top. They could have gone for the orange, but they decided to actually chase a bit too far, and that could prove to be costly for them, man. Stormy, that big shutdown, 4-0, given to the hands of Run the King. They're able to get the turtle, as we can see here from the live screen. But, man, they've lost so much momentum based on that play. All right, if we take a look at the gold lead, it's still not too bad. It's still a 4,000 gold lead for Team Malaysia, so they're still able to hold it down. It's not the worst. But Malaysia, remember, with this kind of composition, you're good even in the late game with the Moscow technically, but Cambodia are not just good in the late game. They're going to be excellent in the late game with that Xavier. The Xavier
Menang, guys, menang. Ni
victory
Malay
here.
menang,
Malaysia
guys. Don't
don't
worry.
end this within what, 14 minutes? If Cambodia can actually just equalize the goal lead here as well, it's going to be great. Oh,
Once again, they're going to find a lot of CC on Humes, but also firing back to the backside, forcing Sariam Felix back. Gojez now just cooking them. But he
Don't
won't actually
worry.
pull the trigger on the last
Malay
insanity,
menang.
so still Cambodia withstands some of the fight. I think as you were saying, you know, Mirko hold on now once again, Skies. trying to
Habis
find
game
Foxy,
ini,
will
gue
be able to
solid dulu ya,
execute
guys.
with the Sky Piercer. So that's a kill down, a body down for Cambodia. Sariam Felix going to possibly jump in. Doesn't want to commit because meanwhile the top lane's going to be pushed in. Malaysia still playing around the lead that they have, even with Cambodia finding some wins across the map. They still have a massive gold deficit to work towards.
Kalau hari ni kalau enggak Nobar, kita main Lord of the Ring, guys. Adik gue bilang karena dia enggak ada exam besok. Tu 99 warna putih tu damage ke? Mana?
and now
Mana
we're going to take
putih
a look
mana?
at Loliel, who's already snowballing on this Moscow. The DHS already built up 3-item power spike for him. So at the 8th minute now, this is the proper 8th minute to go for the play that he went for in game number 1. Now he can actually go for the Spirit of Destruction. Now he can actually pop in onto 4 members, and maybe he'll be able to survive actually. Still gonna be tough though, up against this composition.
Tengah
A lot of
mendominasi.
CC, a lot of damage from Felix too. So you really can't count Cambodia out, despite them losing out so hard in the early game.
No name.
They still have a lot of damage output to actually
Sarge.
turn the tides for a lot of these skirmishes.
Ah.
But at least for the turtle,
Di
Malaysia
kalau
will be
dia
safe.
lawan Indo nanti
Cambodia will be
di
forced to just go down below. That's all they
tim
can do.
Indo itu
Can't
diwakili
go for
oleh
any of these
Onyx, guys.
skirmishes. Not now.
Kamu
It's a
sokong mana,
desperate
No
right
Name?
to maybe go for a
SRG
steal.
atau Onyx?
It's not gonna happen here. Malaysia secure the first lord of
Sepatutnya
the
letak.
game 8 minutes in and 30 seconds. Still with an 8,000 gold lead too, man.
Oh, dia tukar.
An absolute stomp for now, even despite that, you know, kind
Gojez
of like
elok
a
ah.
small throw. It's a wishing lantern, by the way, for the Valentina. It's a new
Eh,
item coming in
tadi
handy.
nampak apa?
Have to see
Bukan silap,
into
SYS.
into the Sky Piercer.
SRG lah,
for
sokong SRG.
Masha as well. These core items are
Ya,
so quite
silap
far away
tadi.
from being built, Naisu. Especially for Ra. He's not the big daddy this game.
Tak
Not yet.
dinafikan lah.
He's
Masuk
gotta wait
M,
for those,
masuk
items to be finished up.
wildcard eh?
They're getting a little bit of damage on the Gorgeous, which is great.
Homeboy.
The Lord actually
Oh.
comes in. And
Oh.
Ra gets the lightning truncheon, but
Grup neraka. Lagi satu tim
one
apa nama?
more item to at least be on
Tim
line.
Arab menang ke tu?
Maybe they want to turn the tides
Wah.
in this game. But Malaysia building the waves.
Papat champion satu
such
grup.
a good way.
Arab,
Cambodia have a
Cambodia,
good wave clear technically
Malaysia,
this year.
Indo. Wah, grup
But Malaysia
neraka.
could actually just go for the stomp, could go for the
Kalau
dive
kalau
all the way.
kalah
They
tak
have
malu
builds,
lah.
they have
Jumpa juara
even the
lah.
last insanity as well, that anti-CC.
Ini pun tengah praktis ni
Seems they're gonna do it.
Getting the shields off here. Lord now part of the fight in the backside.
apa hal
Gets the
Chow
kickoff
Yum tu?
once again. Yums might get caught out himself though. He's gonna get locked down a little bit.
Tapi
before
dia
now,
function
the
dia
torrent
rusuh.
goes down. Last insanity gonna be used. Dawning
See?
Light already committed. Boxy goes down, but look at the backside again. Sorry, Felix will be chasing Lolil,
Dapat,
and he
dapat.
can't get the kill. A couple hits away only. And meanwhile, Cambodia trying to hold on to this
Kalau menang ni
mid-lane
boleh lawan
turret.
Onyx ke?
They still have to deal
Udah
with
dilawan
these
Onyx
minion
di
waves
grup.
pushing in.
Menang Malay 2-0.
Malaysia happy with the assault so far, looking for more. Lolil will
Tapi
pick up
ini,
the
wow,
wind of
go,
nature.
go, go, go.
There's
Nice.
the spear of
Ah, menang,
destruction.
menang.
They take out Run the King, and Malaysia looks to
Alah,
take it.
minion.
Possibly for
Ini
game
Onyx
3 if
tu
they can
udah
push this
tunggu.
one in. Still working on the bottom turret Yumes.
Kalau ni, ini bukan full SRG guys, karena ini SRG kan ada Filipin.
Malaysia still looking to possibly end it here, but they need more kills. They don't have enough waves pushing in for Cambodia. They'll actually defend and stay in the game.
Sekarang ni Aziz main
Incredible
kena
value
main
though
SSC
still
dia orang
for
kata.
Malaysia. The fact that
Mana
they
dia
were able to
SSC?
take 3 base turrets.
Amon dengan
Just the
Fedri.
First Lord. And
Patutnya
Lolil
semalam
did,
late game dah
see him
macam
go for
kalah.
that
Early game
destruction
menang.
like we
Late game macam
expected,
kalah.
right?
Tapi dia orang
Pure
bottom
destruction
map semalam.
in towards the back. Didn't
Aziz
find
push lah
the
pakai
rock,
Fedrin.
but
Fedrin dah
that
lah.
was really good.
Dah lah. Dia orang berebut lot.
Back line a lot. Cambodia had to
Retreat
really respect
semalam
that,
Aziz
but
on
still
point
they were
dia.
able to defend. That
Tengah
big
gaduh
of a
lot.
goal lead,
Gaduh.
Malaysia
Gaduh
beat
lot
the
lah.
game, but that's why the
Cak,
wave
nanti
clear
I tunjuk
from
replay.
the Xavier is just so valuable. It's still going to be really tough though for Cambodia to look for a full comeback here. 18 seconds for the enhanced Lord. And with that Lord, it should be an end straight up for Malaysia. If they keep this lead in the 12th minute of the game as they get that enhanced Lord, I really don't see a way where Cambodia can actually go for the defense unless Malaysia make a big throw happen. If they make a big mistake, right, around the dive for the end, but I can't see that happening here. I really can't, Naisu. It just feels like with this gold lead, with the advantage that you have in the macro as well because of the base turrets taken down. Oh, okay, that could have been an answer as well, by the way. If somehow Ra gets the Dawning Light to steal the Lord, yeah, that could have been an angle where they can actually try to look for a comeback, but that didn't happen, obviously. Malaysia didn't even let it go to become enhanced. Okay, so that actually makes it defendable.
Sana tukar dari SRG jadi emas.
It makes it defendable in that sense.
Tukar
but
aja lah.
still,
Keluar dari
Malaysia's
squad.
so far ahead, man. I mean, look at their items. They could actually just, even with having Gojas just going with Last Insanity,
Yang
it's
item
gonna
baru.
disperse Cambodia so much that I think they might have a troubling time defending their base
Kalau
here.
match buat item tu
Let's
boleh.
find out if they can do it.
Lolil
Bus.
already has it in
Contoh
nature
hero
as well.
bus.
He picked it up in the
Nana
previous
boleh.
fight. So it's going to be very easy for him to actually deny
Lilia
some
boleh.
damage coming in from Felix. I think he'll have to go for Stormy, and Yum's already concealed
Oh.
him back.
Yep, Yumes trying to find Ra, possibly going to be able to flick around and avoid it. They do drag the Lord bottom side. They might be able to buy themselves
Nak
enough
ni.
time. They have to
Ni
do it.
menang
Focus
menang
is
menang
already
menang menang.
down, and the Lord is
Si
still-
menang.
They'll just focus on the crystal in Malaysia.
Si
Will take
yang first
to a
game tu
game
try hero guys.
3
Lihat.
against
Si
Cambodia.
GG, well played to Team Malaysia.
Ha,
Able to
itu
come back
itu
after being
test
down
meta
4-0.
guys.
There
Test
we go.
test
That was the
hero.
Malaysia we were expecting in game number 2, right? In game number 1,
Satu sama guys. SRG enggak akan kalah guys. Ya, mau lihat komen guys. Apa-apa dia bilang Endon waka. Game 1 pemanasan, game 2 say no surrender. Ini Malaysia bos. Easy server alhamdulillah. Panik. Malay pula guys.
Expected the Cho every single time when the Cho gets picked. Expected to just go for pickoffs, to look for the way to drag.
Lihat. Orang Malay pula menyerang guys.
Completely forgot is the instant mid control that you get with the Cho, especially with the Valentina.
Tadi
here
itu kan
compared to
kalah
Xavier.
Indo menyerang.
This
Ah,
is
ini
why,
Malay menyerang.
Gonna be talking about that Cho all the way from the start of the game. Being so good for the team.
Lucu
helping
guys
Stormy
kalau
come
Lion
out
Command.
ways and then rotate
Ada kalanya
over.
sakit hati.
Definitely see for Boxy as well.
At the same
Mainly
time,
Lucas, he was zoned completely out. And I wish we got
lucu.
to see the Lucas
Orang
reset,
polis.
because I think that was what
Orang
lost them the
polis.
game. After that, there was no coming back from this unless Malaysia threw. Even they did throw, and it didn't even matter. They kind of lost in the bottom lane, gave a few shutdowns, gave a few bounties to Cambodia. But again, yeah, it did not matter. That's how powerful, I guess, this lead at the start is for Team Malaysia for this composition especially. The fact that Run the King, the winning lane, also was just getting bullied. And for some reason, Lucas still thought that it would be a good idea to contest the Turtles while being 3 levels down, contest his own jungle. being 3 levels
gue
down,
solat dulu guys. Kalian
Runner
nonton. Ni
King
mau
overstepping, all of
mau
them really making some core mistakes here. This is the
Ni aku
this is the
10 ni.
one where I think we were all kind of confused, right?
Ni
Like,
dia orang ajak
Lucas, you
main
didn't wanna fight
enlisted
for the
dah ni.
orange buff when it was 50-50, but now that it's impossible, you want to somehow
Aduh, Malaysia boleh menang awal.
Ethan Hunt, you know. Interesting stuff there from Lucas, but they have to make some adjustments, man. I think you mentioned as well. At that point, maybe he's tilted, but you're fighting for your nation here. You're trying to qualify for your nation. You're representing your nation. Tilt shouldn't be a dictionary that you can a word in the dictionary that you can use in this match or in this competition at all. You have to go all out. In Malaysia, they definitely had the stronger mental after getting stomped in game number 1. They kept it clean into game number 2. Meanwhile, for Cambodia, overthinking, that mental definitely dropping as well as we keep on seeing them making mistakes back and forth. And only Ra was really making some good plays happen. I think with Boxy too, there was some good engages. And for the most part, maybe even Felix actually. Run and Lucas making some questionable maneuvers here and there. And it was always
Facecam
funny for
hilang.
Malaysia. Don't
Hey,
make
ini
mistakes
facecam.
against Malaysia. They're just too
Oh,
good.
belum. Okay. Facecam hilang,
It's-
facecam
you know, I think
hilang.
when
Gue
you
mau
look
solat.
at this game could
Gue
have been
tutup
a
mic
way
ya
better
guys.
for
Gue mau
Cambodia
jimat
if
bateri.
they didn't have as rough of a start. And
Dalam
it was almost
kiraan
the same
3, 2,
situation for
1.
Malaysian game
Mic.
one. You know, it came down to like just kind of some blunders in the early game. Like, I mean, pre-first turtle, and especially with Lucas here. So I was kind of surprised with how that went. And like you said, even the second death that he had. And, you know, it was just tough because when your jungler is so far gapped, I mean, we're talking about like a 3-level gap at one point against Sky's hero on the Nolan. And Nolan is not, you know, not a hero you want to be working from behind from. Like, you don't want to be gapped by a Nolan, and especially as a Fredrin, because then you just don't get to do really anything. And you have to rely then on your team to support you just to get, you know, your buffs, which is weird because Fredrin for the longest time was just the guy. He was the jungler that could do it all nearly. And now it looks like, you know, he really struggled. Like, even if you look at just the way that they rotated on the map and everything else, when you look at those highlights, Cambodia, I feel like, just couldn't play the lineup that they drafted because of how rough of a start they had. And Malaysia, on the other hand, you have a Nolan, man, you could just punish and punish and punish. And even if Sky's down on the Nolan, like, you still have plenty of ways to kind of find your own wins. And I think the Cho here for Yums, you know, there was a couple times where he was like, obviously really trying to get the pick off he was looking for, but for the most part, man, he was able to punish the right targets and help the snowball.
And the thing is, right, I don't know, man, for Cambodia, said for Lucas, he had to rely on his teammates if he didn't get the, you know, if he didn't get the early going. He already went for the concussive blast as well, so he tried to really level at least the Nolan when it comes to clear speed. But let's talk about the player of the match first before we get into that point. Stormy, shout outs to him. Very, very crucial member in this team on the Valentina, able to produce some of these crazy plays, and I think it just is him playing the safe way. I think he was able to just go for some of these executes as well towards some of the members in the early game. I believe it was Boxy in the bottom side of the map where he was able to execute under the tier 1. These few kills that he got, you know, just made him such a force to be reckoned with here in game number 2. Getting Divine Glaive so early into the game. This is a 12-minute 4-item power spike for Stormy. The Wishing Lantern as well. You don't see the Wishing Lantern a bit, we don't see it a lot. I'm glad to see Stormy go for that item as he snowballs though in the game though. So shout out to Stormy for this amazing game. But back to the point of Cambodia, Lucas utilizing the Fredrin. The big mistake was the fact that he didn't commit, right? That's obviously mistake number 1.
Yeah.
But the fact that the team tried to help him, everybody rotated over to the jungle to help him. So when he made a mistake, that mistake kind of tripled, doubled, you know, quadrupled, because everyone felt that impact, even Run the King. Because with Boxy being taken down in the bottom lane, with him wasting so much of his time, with Ra sacrificing some mini waves in the mid lane, with Felix also sacrificing some minions in the XP lane, all of them were automatically behind. And that's why we saw a 3,000 gold lead right after that play, right after that invade. It was too much for Cambodia to handle. They tried their best. After that, they tried, you know, scaling up Ra mainly with Run the King and Felix, able to get a few shutdowns as well here and there, but definitely not enough. You know, when you have a 3,000 gold lead at the start, I think it'll be harder to lose than to win at that point. And for Cambodia, I don't know. It does feel like if the Bane is that strong, why don't they pick it up in the first phase? You know, it feels like maybe they went too crazy in the first phase with their late game picks, or not late game, but with the Xavier pick.
The Xavier
in the second phase makes sense. We were giving it a lot of praise in game number 1 because it was picked up right after you see all these heroes that have, you know, low range, so you can punish them. Immobility fields all over, and Mystic fields as well, and you already have a snowballing composition yourself. But here, the first phase is a bit different. I don't think it really fits in the first phase. That was our concern. That was our doubts coming into. Those were our doubts coming into the draft of game number 2, and it was also exposed for sure. The mid control was not present at all, even with the help of an Iesf. It was just Cho and Valentina getting so much more prio all around the map, utilizing that prio as well to bully Lucas, to put him in a spot where he made the mistake that eventually became the mistake that made them lose the game. I think it's safe to say that was the one.
I think, you know, in like part of that, before we wait for game 3 draft, it was actually really smart that Yums did pick up the Cho. Like, I know we were both kind of talking about it in the draft, but it was really smart because of the pressure at level 1 he has. You know, level 1 pressure from Cho is actually can be quite devastating, and I think this was a perfect example of that.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and anything related to your work. Your documents, your chats, your whiteboards, your projects.
He had this information from Yums. So like that alone was really difficult for Lucas, I feel like, to respond to, and maybe they just didn't respond to it enough. And then really that misplay, man, of like, your team put all this effort for that first buff for you to secure the orange, and you lose it, like it resets. That was really where things already started falling apart. So I think for Cambodia, yeah, I think you could, man. If it's, you talked about this before, you saw some swaps happen in their previous games. I'm not sure if this is going to happen throughout this. Again, it comes down to a literal best of one now. You know, it's just one single game that either of these teams have to win to move forward and be that next team for the WEC 2024. So you kind of have to just go out and play your best composition. And even on paper, when you look at Cambodia's lineup from the previous game, you know, the Fredrin, Edith, Xavier, Roger, Masha, it's not your, like, I don't even know if there is a standard composition right now, but it's not your normal composition of heroes. But it could work. It could have worked. I just think they just started off way too rough in the beginning, and they didn't get a chance for the entire team to farm up the way they should, because they had to pay so much attention on dealing with the Fredrin, which is weird because normally when you see that from compositions, it's usually like it's like an assassin, most notably a Fanny. Like when you have to go and give so much attention for your Fanny to get the purple buff, that's almost what it felt like. But it was weird because we're watching it for a Fredrin. Like that's not normal, right? So I think for Cambodia, if they really wanted to adjust to whatever happened here in game 2 for them, number one is Lucas has to, if it is going to be Lucas, he has to personally maybe just have a way more solid pick for him to shine on, like we saw even from game 1. That could be part of it. And I think the lineup that they had, it wasn't bad or anything, but my weak point is still the fact that Roger did get flexed basically into the gold lane when we thought it could possibly go in the jungle. And so, you know, when you already take a Roger gold lane who has a little bit of a difficult time farming up as much, and then he has to even rotate down like you mentioned earlier, you just lose so much momentum. Like you already start off at a deficit because of some key losing points in the early game. And then you're scaling heroes that are supposed to scale up, even the Xavier, like you mentioned, just don't get that opportunity. So your whole firepower, even if you had setups, are just gone. You know, so I'd love to see Cambodia adjust that by having some, even if it's just magic damage, you just have a hero there that has a way more burst damage in the early game. You know, I'm thinking of the Farsas, mentioned before, the Eves. You could go, you know, Louis usually banned. Valentina, you could prioritize the Valentina, because remember the days when Valentina was priority pick, like she was picked up first pick. Not sure if you would want to do that in the current state of things, but you know, it's something that they could think about, at least for the first phase, I feel like.
For sure. I think they definitely need to start, you know, looking at different options here, because going for the Xavier, tunnel visioning on a Xavier definitely ain't good. Especially the fact that you already have such a good mid laner who can play so many different heroes in the mid lane. Ra is known for all of his different heroes, you know, having a very, very deep hero pool. So
even a Lilia maybe.
the Lilia was up technically, you know, the Faramis was up. If they really, by the way, I didn't get to see the value of the Terizla ban at all. Like,
Yeah.
there was no. I thought it was going to be set up for something. That's why we expected the Valentina ban, because they wanted to go for the Faramis first pick, perhaps. But yeah, no. The Terizla ban for the first phase, it was just more of a prio ban over, you know, any respect, and I think that definitely hurt them. But now that they are back on the red side, maybe they can change a few things and go for the exact same bans they went for in game number 1 to go for an amazing draft. But some things will already be different. You're not going to be getting the Bane in the second phase if it does not get through the first phase. I think that is for sure. For Malaysia, they already read into that. Maybe Malaysia might actually pick it up themselves as well. So a lot of different things to think about now that you are on the red side for Cambodia. Faramis and the Angela, both heroes that Malaysia have been banning out the entire series, will continue to be banned out by them here on blue side again. And for Cambodia, will they have... I think that the Ling has to go. They're going to respect the Nolan first.
Okay.
So Harith
I
and
agree
Ling
with it.
usually are the bans together with the Lo Yi, but now they actually ban out the Nolan. So maybe trying to trade the Harith with the Ling with the Harith. So 1 pick with 2 picks maybe?
Yeah.
That's so far what it looks like, right? But let's see what Malaysia go for. But they want to ban the Harith. They want to try to limit some of these picks so that they can only get 1 or 2. So it'll be beneficial for them.
I think you could. I want to see what these last bans are going to be, but I think Harith Prio for either of the teams. Again, Roger is still going to be highly contested between both of them. Edith now, we've been seeing just in nearly every composition really work well. So there's, even regardless of what these next 2 bans are, I feel like even for Malaysia, they could do what we saw similarly last game. Pick up a Roger, flex it in. They took out the chip this time, so both teams taking out the Louis and the chip respectively. Last ban for Cambodia. I think part of this too is securing, like I said, securing themselves for Lucas. And that's why I think whichever of these teams don't pick up the Roger, at least pick up the Roger and then flex it if you need to. Just don't flex it. I don't know. I don't want to flex it. I don't want either of the teams to really flex it into the gold lane, but that seems to be the play. Harith is open. Faramis is banned out. Okay, so the Assassins are open that we've seen before banned out, which is a Hayabusa. The Bane is open. So this being the first phase and a lot of these options available for both the teams, I don't know what you start, man, from Malaysia, the way they played from game 1 to game 2, because they both had very similar starts and similar mistakes. Like the reason why both these teams lost their initial games was mainly off of a mistake from the beginning. So Malaysia is going to go ahead and just take this by taking up the Harith. I think that's good. We already mentioned this being a priority possibly. Now for Cambodia, I don't know. What are you thinking they could pick up?
I think the Roger for sure. They've got to pick it up here because technically for Malaysia they could also use it in the jungle, and that's what we have seen from them before. I think against Indonesia, game number 1, they picked up the Roger first pick, and then they went for the Moskov. So straight into the jungle he goes. I think it'll be the same here. Kind of similar. If you leave the Roger open when you already have a Harith, the Roger will still be picked up, but in the jungle. But for Cambodia, it's a bit too risky. It's a bit too, yeah, it's a bit way too risky to actually leave the Roger open here. So they go for it, and maybe Terizla, I would say, or Edith. Maybe they might have to prio Edith here, because if they don't get the Edith pick, Yums, we know against Indonesia, that was one of the big picks that was able to give them such a good time against Indonesia. The Edith, so that they can force them to go for the fights. They end up going for the penalty zone, the Terizla, over the Primal Wrath, the Edith. And with the Roger Terizla, it should be the Edith that comes up for Yums. It's like the proper mix of proactiveness and also reactiveness on that hero.
I think so far it looks like, from looking at Cambodia's group stage matches, most of the wins that they got, which were sweeps, the Terizla gave them the most success. And so I think going back to it,
Buang semua
this one game,
di
might as well
antara
go with what worked the best
kita.
for you. This is a huge gamble. Like, I'm actually surprised this is locked in. The Fanny again, plus the Cho this time around from Malaysia. So I don't know. Did they have to pick up the Fanny now? So this almost makes me wonder, like, is this the right choice for Malaysia? Because they pick up a Fanny, and what we saw earlier too was the fact that they were even cut off with the penalty zone earlier. So like they were caught.
Bang,
in the
kenapa kuda
penalty zone
panjang?
alone. So this is, I don't know. I'm
Sebab
not
dia
sure.
panjang.
I'm not sold on this yet from Malaysia.
22 Jun tu 10 Julai tu apa?
Cho's been doing decently. But man, the Fanny in the first phase, I think, you know, I wouldn't even seen Cambodia
Julai
go
ada
for
apa?
ban for this. So I feel like they could have
Iesf
just waited on this
ke
and picked it up
MSC?
later on.
MSC gue rasa
I think they
MSC.
go for the bane, yeah. Would be a great
MSC.
option to go for the jungle
MSC.
now. They don't need to utilize the flex, but they go for the Valentina instead. No big ultimates thus far. So a very interesting Valentina pick here for Cambodia. But I would say actually in this game, I actually kind of like the Fanny pick. You already have a Herod, right? So you have a lot of magic damage in your gold lane. You need a bit of that physical presence. And with the Ling and the Nolan banned out so early by Cambodia in the first phase, it does limit the amount of heroes that you can go for the assassins that deal physical damage in the jungle. So now with the Fanny, I would say it's okay, especially considering, you know, Skies in game number 1, despite them losing on the Fanny, he was playing really, really well. The only problem I had with the Fanny pick was because they already had a chip and a Moskov, and then to add in the Fanny together with the chip, I just don't see how that combo would be, you know, would work, would be used. But now we do see that Aurora respect
Panjang
for
sosis
Stormy.
dia. What the
Good
hell?
job by Cambodia reading that out, because
Sosis.
that is what Malaysia really want to do
Sosis
usually,
punya kuda.
especially when they already have the physical force of a Fanny in the jungle. They want to go for even more magic damage around the mid lane. They're kind of also lacking some beefiness in their composition. They need some HP. They need someone to actually stand in the front line. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they want to go for the full glass cannon, full damage
full glass
output build.
cannon.
That could also work up against this composition, especially against the Roger. And I think, I guess, when we're talking about the Roger, it's so prio, it's so good on flex as well. But if we take a look at the weaknesses for the Roger, it's got to be one of it at least. It's got to be the fact that he can't go for nature. Or you can, but you don't get as much value as the usual marksman. Because it's
no name, jangan.
melee heroes, right? So, by
Ini
that,
lagi macam
metric,
kecetan-
just the duration, you can already think
Kecetan
that,
group
for the
ini,
Phoenix, for the
Abenaza.
assassins, and even technically here with the Herod, it's gonna be
Abenaza
really, really
buat
good. If you
lawak,
have
guys.
layers of damage to go up against the Roger, it kind of forces the Roger to only go for one defensive item. You'll have to choose Wit of Nature, but then you get bursted by the Herod, Rose Gold Meteor, but then you get bursted by the Fanny. It puts you in a tough spot. I think it's a good Bane ban as well, by the way, from Malaysia. They noticed. I thought the Bane would have come through last pick in the first phase. That was
phase,
a bit
right?
weird to see the Valentina here, especially after the Feramis and the Angela have been banned out, right? Now, especially now that the Aurora has been banned out. So I'm really wondering what the plan is to utilize this Valentina. Is it to steal ultimates, or is it purely just to get the Terrify, get the utility, and get a little bit more damage on top of it? Maybe it's just the comfort pick for Ra.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think at this point, like I said earlier, I think you just go for comfort the best you can. You hope that you are able to survive the damage
Yeah,
that
I
you're
mean,
talking about. Because like you said, there's a lot of burst damage potential just with the physical damage from Malaysia and even the magic damage from
Borak.
Sheriff. But it could also just be, we talked
kamu
about the
aja memborak
playstyles leading
apa?
into the series, man. Malaysia just being like, you know what?
Ini pun lagi
Full Senate,
bincang,
the long
tak
guard
tahu
strategy,
bincang apa
that
ini.
chaotic style, that go fast, go hard, get it, because most of their games have been pretty quick. I mean, even the previous one was around 1250 or something like that, 1250. So a pretty quick game, and you know, heroes like this can shine at that portion of the game, can do really well, especially if you can follow up on some of the pickoffs with this Cho pick.
Boleh
already
nego
locked
sampai
in.
so I don't know.
So
Dia orang
I'm
borak.
wondering how they round this lineup out.
Santai.
They need
Ini
a
kerjanya
mid lane
caster.
option there. Of course,
Caster
the
ni
XP
banyak
lane as
borak.
well. They're going against a
Udah
Trisla.
bahasa
So
Inggeris.
the export
Kalian mengerti
is
nggak
open.
bahasa
They
Inggris?
could possibly pick that up from Malaysia. Causes a little more of that chaos to the mix when they fight in these team fights. And you know, with the carry being picked up from Cambodia, I feel like this is an okay pick because now you have the Roger going in the jungle, but this is troublesome because Iesf is locked in for the roam now, for the, is this an XP?
We'll find out if it's an XP Cho or an XP Edith, right? And
Okay,
Kagura.
All right. This is just, this is Malaysia just being like, you know what?
Apa pakai?
Yeah,
Kagura?
going for the big
Early
damn.
game.
Early game.
Kagura dah lama tak pakai dah.
Okay, so this makes sense, and I feel
Last
like for
jumpa kat
Cambodia,
jumpa
they
kat
have to
ni.
be able to respond to this
Tournament.
kind of damage because
Memang
even
tak pernah
this
pakai
carrier-
Ada
range is
pakai.
pretty low. You have to really find your positioning.
Orang tanya sebab aku
And,
baling.
you know, all you have right now is this charisma.
Itu
man.
kau buat
So, like,
silap
what is
Kagura
their-
motor tu.
what is their roam gonna
Kau
be
pergi
here?
tukar.
Because, quite honestly, there's so much displacement, or at least an ability
Item.
for Malaysia to come in from
Entah
different
item.
angles.
Item
Even
M.
with Kagura, a hero we
Seharusnya
don't
bahasa
typically
Inggeris
see.
atau Spanish.
But
Ini
we know she has a lot of
no.
burst damage potential, you know, and
Ini
she
boraknya
can
kuat
actually do
sangat
quite
ke.
a bit with her umbrella mechanics, the way that she works. So
Ini ni
this-
rendah,
and which
no.
part of it could also just be an interaction with
Ini
the area.
sembilan ni.
So,
Kena ini
Cambodia goes a
no.
little more tanky. They lock
Menang
in
guys.
Kufra.
Malay menang.
So this is like
King of
pure
meta,
damage
Malay.
kickoff versus durability. I see here. You know, durability. There's some magic damage, of course, there too. But this is huge. And
Yes.
Lucas has to have a good time with this Roger jungle.
Tak
He
ngerti
really
juga
does.
dia
He needs
cakap
to be set
apa.
up for success here. And I think
Kita harusnya
earlier when he
belajar.
picked up the carry, I was instantly thinking,
Slowly
why
but
would you go for the
surely.
carry? Are you trying to go for the Kaja later for the last pick? Because the Edith just seems like so value. It just seems so value. It's maybe a top tier roamer at this in this meta, right? It definitely comes down as like an S or maybe A tier. Definitely in the upper echelon of the prio picks when it comes down to roam. So then they pick up the Kufra. Completely understand now. You know, the carry pick is trying to see what other picks they go for, Malaysia, and then reacting to it with the Kufra. Now, a lot of those dashes will be stopped by the Kufra, and technically for Cambodia, they have ways to go and enable Lucas on this pick. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 3.
So, dia bahas apa? Dia bahas tentang apa yang Malaysia gunakan. Dia terkejut kenapa si tim Malay ni menggunakan Kagura.
Which of these nations will go and represent their country in the main stage of Iesf WEC 24 in Riyadh? Will it be Cambodia? Will it be Malaysia? Go and spam in the live chat what you guys think this game is going to show us. Will it be even a stomp, or maybe perhaps our first ever mid to late game battle? Because in the early game, Ra is getting bullied. Deja vu.
Oh no, deja vu. Yums. Oh, Ra is gonna go down. This might be once again a response here coming through. Yums trying to get out of there. Sky's there to back him up, but now possibly another kill. Malaysia. 2 on the board early in. Boxing not going to be able to really do much either, and Skies will go ahead.
Ya, dia tadi main jadi caw yang rusuh.
I was about to say, man, that was
Sekis tu
really
level
close.
7, orang tu
The fact
boleh
that he
level
wanted to,
4.
you know, risk that gorgeous up top.
Wah, gorgeous ni bos.
Get the kill, but sorry, Felix. He has that minion there to tank up the tower, and he's just going to chase down Gojes. Gojes has nowhere to go, and he gets swung into the air. Now
Kenapa?
Boxing once again going to be the target.
Iyalah terkejut Kaguranya tiba-tibanya main di
Cambodia able to get
tournament.
one on the board earlier on the top side. Malaysia really controlling so far.
Ini
this
pakai assassin
game.
balik
Too
ni.
crazy. Raw is
Item
even
baru
forces
lah.
on Stormy goes in,
Counter
but not
tank lah.
enough damage
Dia
just
kasih
yet.
damage kat tank ah.
Not enough just yet, but still for Malaysia, it's such a good lead at the start of the game. If you take a look at the gold though, not too big. It's only just around 500 gold.
Tak
they
normal
picked
ke
up with those
Kagura
3
di
kills.
tournament?
I think it's because of the solo kill as well up top. That they
Kalau
weren't
di
really able to
tournament
fully
tu orang
capitalize
mau
on this.
main,
And it's actually
mau
the
menang.
Cambodia on the turtle.
Okay, yeah,
Mau
actually,
menang itu
Cambodia will be able to
gimana
take
ya?
this just fine. Really easily,
Mainnya harus
actually. They
betul,
knew
mengikut meta,
that,
mengikut
Skies was trying to
update.
get the purple buff, and they might look to punish now. Stormy could be in trouble. The
Kalau
mid lane,
update-nya
Lucas
contoh,
jumps in, won't be able to get the kill with the Lycan pounce, and now forcing moves back a little bit further. Skies
itu
might try to
debuff,
swoop
itu
in,
yang
retreat
dipowerkan.
this purple buff. He's gonna have to
Karakter
time
itu
that
akan
perfectly.
digunakan.
Penalty zone already gonna be used. Go just
Mati
trying
ya
to join the
Sekis.
fight from the backside, but Skies is in trouble. Will be able to survive though, barely.
Dia mengikut update. Kalau kitanya di rank, kita main aja apa yang ada. Kalau pakai Cyclops, Cyclops anak dajal itu. Kalau kita mau pakai Yin, pakai Yin. Kalau mau pakai D-Rod, pakai D-Rod.
Game number 1, Cambodia, the way that they were able to
Di
go up
tournament,
against the Fanny was, alright,
nggak
you know
kepake
what?
lagi
You're
D-Rodnya.
already snowballing at the start of the game. We'll just use our composition with a lot of the displacements that we have in our composition to go up against the Fanny. We won't even go for the purple buff steals, purple buff invades. But game number 3 is a bit different. You do have, you know, tools to utilize to cancel out those dashes coming in from the Fanny, but it's still kind of a brawl composition that you built for yourself in the early phase of the game, especially considering that, you know, this is a strong side of the XP lane for Cambodia. You're going to be able to force the issue a lot in around that purple buff side that will be spawning up towards the top side of the map. So for Cambodia, it's really a very different angle of attack now. It'll be more of the threats towards the purple buff. And when you do that, Skies is going to be having a bad time. I was talking about how this Fanny pick could work. You know, this Fanny pick is still really good on the hands of Skies. But if you don't have a purple buff, I'm sorry to say, but it doesn't matter how good you really are around the early game at least, right? If you don't have the purple buff, and
Nak
you're
dapatkan
playing
view
within your
senang.
basic short boxy,
Buat Nobar.
Okay, he's gonna be fine. But yeah, as you're
Dapat
saying,
lah.
you know, if Skies doesn't have the purple buff, it's gonna be tough.
Huh?
Every time it's up, you look at the rotations from Cambodia. They want to
Ah, my up tu memang sulit. Memang game tu adik. Terror ni. Wow.
Still looking, Stormy's the one to fall, and they might be looking for Gojes. Tries to get something with the Primal Wrath. What a flicker, though. Will be able to pick up a kill himself and survive the fight. Now they just chase him down, but Gojes should be fine.
Terror ni. XYS tu see you soon. Nama timnya see you soon. SYS.
back and forth, but a win for Malaysia. Good flicker out by Gojes. And honestly, for me, it feels like Ra was saving that flicker a bit too long. I think it's really good though if we take a look at the long term of that flicker not being used, because they do have a lot of pressure here, and Skies is waiting in the bush, gets spotted out. So they're gonna reset and look to go for the neutral objective again. 1,000 gold behind this time.
Ooh, he's trying to get in there.
Season.
He's gonna be able to get there in time.
Sikit
No,
dapat.
King already used, and Skies is
Lupa nak tunjuk Azib punya retri semalam. On point.
No one will fall.
Serius. Tengah lawan Lloyd. Dia orang tengah Lloyd. Azib masuk. Cucuk sikit. Angkat. Retri. Adakah Azib the next Chibi atau the next orang kata siapa lagi retri on point? Sekis kan? Siapa lagi? Kyrie, betul.
Bottom side turret. Looks like they're going to put more pressure here on the
Asal letak
resources
atas.
Cambodia, though.
Tak habis letak
Go
atas
ahead,
je.
make sure Lucas gets this buff because
Ah,
Malaysia,
itulah
man,
silap.
they're starting to further the goal
Tak,
lead, and
selalu
we
kan
talked about it, they kept it
MPL
relatively
kan
even, but
bawahan
now
ni
they're pulling further
ada
ahead,
kamera.
2,000 ahead in this gold, almost 6 minutes into the game. But relatively, I'd say it's still a pretty
Alhamdulillah.
back and forth between both.
The Malaysian snowball is online in the 5th minute of the game. A signature playstyle, which theoretically is kind of weird. It doesn't snow in Malaysia, but hey, we'll go with it, right? Sky Piercer for the Fanny. Oh, Yoks!
Yum's gonna go in. Wait, the dragon gonna be used. Purify already there. Now fighting in the mid lane. Look at the damage coming out. Yum's in trouble. Zaman Force already dropped down as well. They're gonna fight it out. Lucas could be in trouble. Ying and Overturn has too much damage, but it's a double kill for Lolil. And they
Kenangan.
force boxing back as well. They're not done yet. Sorry, Felix has to flicker defensively. Man, Malaysia, what an overlay of ultimates and abilities to win that fight.
Ini Tajus lagi gaduh guys. Bukan gaduh, lagi apa berantem sama Bedansa. Wah.
Clean by Lolio. Synchro fissioning. That final shot, Felix definitely overstaying in the mid lane. Not
Kalau gue gelak itu kerana lagi mereka berantem ni.
Lolio on the Harith. 6 minutes in.
Gue nya lagi makan popcorn.
Very similar to game number 2 and how Malaysia was able to control the map. But this time, I think it's a bit more impressive because it's not like they shut down Cambodia from the start. They're just able to outfight them, outclass them in these skirmishes.
Gaduh berantem tak sama ke? Mana gue tahu. Berantem bahasa Indo tu.
You gotta give a lot of credit to him because in that second turtle, it would have been free.
Tumbuk. Berantem.
Ojaz gonna go in onward.
Bertumbuk juga.
Shadowboxer
Gaduh
trying to
tumbuk.
get out of there with that formation, but even with the setup, it's not gonna happen. There's just too much damage once again. It's
Wah, enak sekali. Udil balik Indo. Tengok dia punya live ni. Ingat kat Malaysia.
Now ready to just further the lead. Full snowball effect at this point.
Kiranya MSC minggu ni lah kan? Warikat. Oh, minggu ni banyak nobar guys. Nanti kita lihat Homeboys guys. Homeboys. Tapi Homeboys ni Sabtu guys. Lihat aja lah kalau Sabtu tu malam gue bisa nobar. Kalau enggak malam, enggak bisa. Skill 3 hari untuk apa? Untuk apa Riz? Hah? Skill hari ketiga. Alti Haris untuk spam skill 2 no-name. Kiranya kamu Alti, kalau kamu dalam lingkungan pedang itu, kamu spam kuasa kedua. Cak. Betul.
fact that they
Kan
picked it
nanti
up against
adanya pedang itu
opposition
kan,
with a lot of
pedang.
damage
Kalau
dealers.
Haris tu ulti
That's
ada
why I was
pedang.
really doubting it. But then I
Kamu
saw the
duduk
Kufra
di
pick and I was like,
pedang
alright,
itu, kamu
they
spam
get what
kuasa
they're trying
kedua.
to do.
Enggak,
Wanna go for a
enggak
safe
ada
pick. Oh, yes,
cooldown.
flickers forward, Earth Shatter. Yoms conceal.
Oh, Yums.
Wah. Lihat. Mana? Itu pedang, ini pedang. Kamu duduk dalam lingkaran ini, kamu spam kuasa kedua. Kalau kamu keluar daripada lingkaran ulti itu, kuasa kedua nggak ada. Kiranya cooldown.
Right? The fact that you can still just utilize Yums with his aggressive damage, with his aggressive positioning and decision making, it's still okay for Malaysia. You don't really have to go for the full discipline route sometimes. Especially if you have a player like Yums. He's on a roam anyway.
Iesf live sampai sambil upload.
Crazy, risky plays.
Hah?
If he dies, it's fine. It's just a roam. You just
Sambil upload.
wait for him to respawn, especially in the 9th minute of the game where the death timer is still so low. So now Yums is actually going to look for the angle of attack, and you'll have a very good angle to go for a flank from the bottom side of the map. The purple buff actually going to be stolen away by Skies early here before the
Itu
Lord
notif
even gets
WA itu.
contested. So that's an advantage already by Skies. 2 levels ahead now of Lucas.
WA.
When it comes to the retry battle, Lucas is going to have a tough time, especially now the Heptaseas also. Man, some of these power spikes coming at the right time.
Yep, Tyrant's Revenge gonna be using the rage they find.
Apa upload apa WA? Apa? Kenapa what the hell WA? Wow.
Looking for a possible maniac, but doesn't get it as Lolio will pick
GG.
up the kill,
End.
but it's a wipeout for Malaysia.
Tu tak ada end lah.
Pushing in, timers are too long. They could
GG guys, GG.
these base turrets down. Hold on, base turret, look at the live. We have
GG.
an eye on the live. Zaman Force already charged, and it looks like Malaysia might
Lawan Indo guys, Malay. Ini dibilang Malay bot ini.
Malaysia will take down Cambodia and move forward to the WEC in Rio.
Lihat. Ini Discord notif ni. Gue nggak tahu banyak notif yang di laptop.
From the 1-0 start from Cambodia. And it looked
Comeback,
really good for
guys.
Cambodia. I think we just
Comeback
gotta give it to the
kalau
mental
bahasa
fortitude that
ML
they
apa?
were able to come back in such a way. In game number 2, stomping their opponents. Game number 3, doing the same thing, just adjusting the
GG
small
balu,
things that they were
NT.
making,
GG,
small errors they were making in the
Dalam
game
chat
and
kan tulis
in the
GG.
draft.
Bukan macam ni bacot banyak. Easy. Tengok kalau Valo, kalau itu pihak menang, itu menang atau mana pihak menang, mereka akan bilang GG NT. Ini easy. What? Enggak ada kesukanan mereka ini. Easy bot.
It's a bit different. Still, they
Kalau
were
di
able
Valo
to
itu
punish.
semuanya enggak kisah.
They were able to
Enggak.
punish Lucas
Tim
too.
itu
So it's the
enemy
same two
atau
members
apa
that get
GG
punished
NT.
technically. So everybody got punished there. It's very similar, but it's in a different way that they punish them. They punish them through clearing the mid lane. It's as simple as that. Having the Cho in
NT
your
ever,
kit
nice
just
try.
gives you so much value. And sometimes when you think of the Cho, especially now that it's not really the best pick in the role, we completely forget that he has so much wave clear potential with the concussive blast. So anyone you pair him up with, it's almost a certain better mid-prio, combo that you will have compared to the enemy team, unless, Cambodia pick up something like a Grok. And then all throughout, we definitely saw that the impact of that early skirmish was seen, with Skies getting such an early lead, with Lolio as well winning out, and Stormy getting that kill very early on assist. He just elevated their game so much in the mid game and all these skirmishes as well. Because with the snowball, with the Kagura and the Hereth, these damage dealers, combos like this become possible. Combos where you go for the burst, but you layer it in a way where it kind of feels like you just out-damage them and out-sustain them as well in these skirmishes. This is another mistake by Felix, walking up way too far, man.
Jangan.
Being so low, you should respect that 3-0 Hereth. And Yums constantly looking for these angles, very good targeting as well, bringing the carry of all people back to the team.
Key.
And Skies, that was coming in last. Very good timing for him as well. And it already looked kind of good, to be fair, for Cambodia. They were able to go for the purple buff steal so early on because of the brawl composition that they have. They were able to force the issue, and because they had a winning lane in the XP, that was what I thought was going to be used a bit more. But unfortunately, after getting that first purple buff steal, I think they got overconfident. Lucas was starting to open up the map again, making some real big fundamental mistakes where he just gets caught up by Gorges. I think we have to talk about that play, right? Like when Lucas just walked in that mid bush towards the top side. Why did he go for the invade? It's such a naive, opening for him. But
Lock
yeah, it ultimately
on.
became a game that Malaysia was able to control.
Key tu apa?
Towards the mid, towards the late especially.
Enggak
We
tahu
didn't get to
kamu
late.
key,
It was
key,
10
key.
minutes. It was even faster than game number 1. Able to take revenge for that 10-minute,
Lagu apa?
31-second game of game 1. Now they do it. They beat Cambodia. Oh, wait. Why? Okay, Malaysia versus Indonesia, it says. All right, I was getting confused there. But no, this is the same stats, right? Yeah. A bit thrown off there. It's okay, though.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
Is it 10 minutes, 27 seconds, though?
Was it 10 minutes?
I really did pay attention to the timers, but it is. It's 10:27 against Cambodia. So, yeah.
I was gonna say it was before the First Lord, yeah, right?
It was before the First Lord. It was right as the First Lord spawned in the game, I think, right? Because they were already playing around the turtle. The neutral objective Lord at that time, and they were just able to get it done with that skirmish. The fact that Cambodia tried to fight that was
Meow meow meow
was
meow.
kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
Meow
you get
meow
punished.
meow
You
meow
get punished,
meow.
and I think Malaysia,
Okay,
their
okay lah.
playstyle and
K
everything
tu
else is-
kon tak lah.
That's what
K
they
tu
do.
okay lah. Iyalah.
You know, and really,
Kamu
when you looked at the
dari
game
tadi
and
K.
everything that they were doing there, and I think
Okay.
that's the same thing. Like Yums played that show so perfectly for this lineup because it didn't matter if he ended up going down or getting picked off or anything because throughout the entirety of the game he was able to find the right pickoffs that he was looking for. Maybe except one, but he still, it was just an attempt, the one that he missed. So for
Okay.
this, here we go. It does look like there it is. 10:27 was the game time here for game number 3. Malaysia though, I mean, if you
Iesf.
look at this lineup,
Ni International Esport Federation. Kan gue betul udah bilang
this
ni.
was like I want to
IESF, International Esport Federation.
So I think, you know what? That was the plan, and they executed it just like that. It was a big damn lineup, dude. Like even with the combination, like you don't see Kagura pop up much. But man, this Kagura popping up here and then having, you saw them when they forced the fights, like in those zombie
Kalau
forces,
kalian bilang
and
bang
having
main
the
lah
overturns
chain
and
together,
everything
chain
else, like,
together.
It was so good. Like, the amount of damage that was just
Kalau
there.
gue
And
yang
then
beli
at the
seorang
same time,
buat
you
apa
have to
guys?
eat it to kind of complement the whole,
Ininya
games
enak
of this
main
show
sama
pick.
kawan
So
ini.
I think everything really worked out for the game plan. Like if they didn't end this game though early, I feel like they definitely could have struggled against the lineup from Cambodia. And they
Dia
had to
tengah mambar lagi.
specifically go with this game plan of this needs to be an early game, end it before the 15 to 18 minute range, and then we're good. But and they did exactly that. So Cambodia, again, really
Game
struggling
con.
here with this kind of lineup facing against this kind of aggression, I'd say.
That's why the carry pick just seemed very, very odd to me. The fact that the Edith was up for grabs, some of these prio picks were up for grabs, like the Edith. It just made sense for them
Game
to go for
apa?
the Edith before the carry. So they can go for the
Ini
Edith and
chain
then later on
together.
get a good pick as well for that gold lane. But thinking that
Kalau ada
the
yang
opposing
bilang
team
bang
will
main
go
chain
for
together.
frontliners,
Iya.
trying to
Kalau gue main
expect that
sama
and,
siapa itu?
trying to predict that by going for the carry. It ended up with Malaysia adapting
Wah.
to the carry. They saw the carry and they were like, all right, you know what? If they want to try to go and deal damage to our frontliners, if
Meow,
they
meow,
want to
meow,
try to
meow.
out-sustain us and out-DPS us, we're just outburst them. We're not even going to need to out-sustain them.
Ada orang
with
ungkit
these
M1.
Loyal
Orang kata
is
trofi
definitely
zaman kuda.
a core member of this playstyle, though.
Indo ungkit M1.
7-5 for Loyal.
Ada orang balas
On the
trofi
area.
zaman
Game
kereta
one was
kuda.
questionable, but I guess we could just say it's a Loyal thing to do. It's game 2, game 3 onwards. We played it
Kereta
phenomenally.
zaman kuda.
Getting the power spike
Trofi
on the
zaman
boss
kereta
off game
kuda.
2 so
Anjay.
early on. It was the 8th minute as well. Game 3, the Harris, we didn't even see when he got the item power spike, when he got the holy crystal, but I'm guessing
Mam-mam
it's
tu
very,
Kairi
very early in the
Esport.
game, 'cause the game ended in 10 minutes.
Apa yang tak puas hati
Oh man. Some
Relax.
really interesting stuff here being,
Banyak bacot lah. Tak tahu nak buat
by
apa
Team
sekarang.
Malaysia.
Ni
Some interesting
game
matters, and
tak
I
kuat
love
apa
to
eh.
see it. I really do. For Malaysia, it seems like they're definitely the most creative team when it comes to the draft so far, I think, in the Asian regional qualifiers for the Asia region, right? We haven't seen a whole lot of the Kaguras, the Auroras, and we see that from Stormy. That is his signature, going for those kind of picks, and it just fits Malaysia's style so well. And in a bit, we'll
kejap.
be going to an interview with
Mau
Zora
tukar.
Vector,
Gue
who
lupa
has formed
tukar,
Team
guys.
Malaysia. And I think we're definitely going to
Gue
get
nya
some
di sini
answers
Assassin's
to
Creed.
why,
What the hell?
game 1 was so tough for them,
What the hell?
what happened in the draft, and how do they come back from that performance.
One thing like I was saying before we even started the series,
Discord.
I think
Discordnya
teams
ada
like
apa? Enggak ada
Malaysia,
apa-apa Discord
and
itu.
there's many other teams like this, they profit a lot on the current state of the game. You know, the patch that we had, the ability to go, I mean, they were already very unique in their playstyle before the patch, and so I think this allows them to do that even more so here, like the Banes, you know, like this just the changes that we see so far. I mean, the Arlots they pick up, nothing too crazy with Arlot, but still they get to pick it sometimes. The Aurora we saw targeted banned out earlier, you know, and some of the, I mean, even to an extent, like they make glue work, they've done a lot of different things, and I think no matter what they try,
Ada video lah, tengok NightBot.
man, like the game plan seems to really match their identity. And they win the games in
Enggak
that
ada
very
video.
identity
Video
way.
kalian itu semuanya enggak lucu guys.
See it unfold
Serius.
in the fight.
Well, speaking of their identity, we're
Kalian
gonna
emang
get
susah
to
mau
ask
bikin
those
gue
questions over to
ketawa
Azura
itu.
Vecchi.
Emang susah guys.
Interview with Azura Vecchi. So, hello, Azura Vecchi, can you hear us? What's up, man?
Oh, gorgeous.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hello,
Bentar. Okay, anda okay. Memang kalian enggak lucu guys. Ah ini, when shopping at 7-Eleven goes wrong. Ah, apa ni? Mr. Kecil. Okay, so-nya kalau mau review, kalau mau bikin no love challenge enggak lucu gimana mau love challenge? Oh, English or Spanish. Ah, ini apa ni? It's over for copy Doplosen channel name. Oh, tak boleh tengok. Kang ni kena copyright ni, bahaya. Tak tahu, Spiderman hantar. Rasanya. Halo bang, halo Adli Radia R. Halo. Adli. No name not real. Nah, ni apa?
Saat ini saya sudah berada di salah satu ikon tol Trans Jawa.
Untuk diskon tol ya, diskon tol 20%.
Diskon tol yang tadi disampaikan oleh Pak Ridwan. Diskon tol ini
Tol, diskon tol.
Bagaimana nih Mbak? Pasti ditunggu nih oleh masyarakat yang akan mudik ini, diskon tol.
Untuk bikin ikon tol, ya, ikon tol, maksud ikon tol.
Ini ya bagus. Ini gue setuju. Kalau videonya kayak gini okey.
Untuk memberikan diskon tol, diskon tarif tol.
Produsen otomotif di
Diskon
Amerika
tol.
Serikat mencoba kontol.
Diskon dari tol. Diskon. Nah, ini ya bagus. Ha, video ni gue setuju. Apa ni?
Papa tadi kan cikgu kat sekolah pernah ngajar dengan saya, Pa. Apa lagi? Pa, tadi saya tanya cikgu kalau nak tukar rumah sukan kena jumpa siapa? Dia kata kena jumpa babi. Kurang ajar betul cikgu ni. Babi? Cikgu kau suruh jumpa babi? Lebih pula cikgu ni, biar aku call dia. Call.
Kepala botak cantik berseri, pusing ke sini.
Hello babi. Hey. Hello cikgu. Kau ni lebih pula dengan anakku. Anak aku nak tukar rumah sukan kau suruh dia jumpa babi. Kau jangan sampai aku datang sana, aku tampang kau macam buaya. Ha? Aku suruh anak kau jumpa dengan cikgu Bobby, bukan Babi. Bodoh, Babi tu anak kau. Bodoh betul lah cikgu, tak faham. Aku suruh anak kau jumpa dengan cikgu Bobby. Cikgu Bobby tu fikir kanan, bukan Babi. Bodoh.
Ini lah, kalau video kayak gini okey. Gue setuju. Lebihkan video kayak gini guys.
Papa tadi kan cikgu kat sekolah kurang ajar dengan saya, pa. Apa lagi? Pa, tadi saya tanya cikgu.
Bukan skibidi brand road itu guys. Video kayak ini gue suka.
Papi, kurang ajar betul cikgu ni. Papi, cikgu kau suruh jumpa Babi. Lebih pula cikgu ni, biar aku call dia. Call.
In the eyes of the world.
Kepala botak cantik berseri.
Kepala botak cantik berseri.
Hello Babi. Hey. Hello cikgu. Kau ni lebih pula dengan anak aku.
Fikir
Anak aku
kanan
dah
apa?
Kau suruh dia jumpa Babi. Kau jangan sampai aku datang sana, aku tampang kau macam buaya. Ha? Aku suruh
Abang
anak kau
sepikir.
jumpa dengan cikgu Bobby.
Tengok
Bukan
kau buat
Babi.
basah bantal
Bodoh,
orang kau.
Babi tu anak kau.
Kau
Bodoh
boleh mandi
betul lah
kan?
cikgu, tak faham. Aku suruh anak kau jumpa dengan
Fikir
cikgu
kanan.
Bobby. Cikgu Bobby
Fikir
tu
ham.
fikir kanan, bukan Babi.
Entah lupa gue. Tapi tu orang-orang atas kan, adanya pengetua, itunya bawah pengetua itu. Ini udah buka, ini udah delete. Udah delete. Ini udah gambar tai ini udah delete ini. Tak. Aku sudah lelah.
Wih, tak. Oh my god. Kau tengah ketawa. Salah.
Aku sudah lelah.
Kami dari 27 bulan Mei. Ayo dong bantai kami. Kalau lo punya nyali.
Kami dari ujung.
Korang tahu tak, terdapat rahsia di sebalik wang kertas RM50 keluaran jenis ini, di mana ia hanya akan muncul pada waktu tertentu sahaja. Contohnya, kalau korang nak nampak rahsia ini dengan lebih jelas, korang boleh pause dulu video ini dan ambil wang RM50 kalau korang ada. Kalau tak ada pun tidak mengapa, kerana Faktau akan zoom di belakang sini untuk korang tengok dengan jelas. Sedia? Sekarang, korang fokuskan di bahagian sini. Cuba korang cari orang yang sedang mengait buah kelapa sawit. Clue dia, ini bukanlah orang itu. Faktau akan buat kiraan secara senyap untuk korang lebih fokus. Dah jumpa? Macam Faktau cakap di awal video ini, rahsia ini hanya akan muncul pada waktu yang tertentu sahaja. Oleh kerana video ini keluar pada pukul 5 petang, maka orang yang sedang mengait itu dah balik rumah. Tarik balik duduk! Duduk balik! Duduk balik!
Ni apa ni? Wah. What the hell? Red Bull. Ni dah nonton semua ni. Ha. Udah, ini semua udah nonton. Apa lagi kamu mau dustakan? Cikgu Bobby. Ayah, nonton.
What's up, Becky? The analyst of Malaysia. Nice to see you guys.
Lagi 5 minit guys. Malaysia lawan Indonesia. Langsung sambung ke? Kalau kalian lihat gue itu ada berhenti di tengah-tengah itu, gue terus main game perang je guys. Kalian bisa keluar dulu guys. Lagi 5 minit gue datang. Sakit pinggang gue duduk kayak gini. Mau baring kejap je guys. Kalian bisa keluar dulu. Ya, kalau mereka on nanti gue nanti tutup live. Lagi 5 minit gue datang. Sakit pinggang guys.
We have made it to the final game of Iesf Asian Championships, the road to Riyadh 2024, that the WEC for Iesf. Once again, for the final time, it's me, Naisu, and Mirko, and we're here to bring you the grand final. Now, you guys might be wondering, whoa, grand final, what? It's a best of one? Yes, it's a best of one, because again, these two teams in Malaysia and Indonesia have already secured their slot going forward to WEC. They'll fly out to Riyadh and compete, but this is for seeding, right? So this secures them a better seeding, I should say, for once we get to the WEC and we see how all the brackets and everything fall into place. So that's what's at stake here. Not only that, but I would say there's a little bit of a grudge match here too, Mirko. I don't know. What do you think for this best of one?
Of course, you know, we've been seeing all the fans as well, the Malaysian fans, the Indonesian fans attack each other's teams, you know, say, all right, you got lucky there. And the Malaysian fans are like, nah, bro, it's just a new era. It's Malaysia time, right? Malaysia boleh. So I love to see that competitive spirit for both of the fans in the chat as well, as long as it doesn't get too toxic. But for Indonesia and Malaysia, I think it's the same way, right? These two nations, very, very competitive. Malaysia has really risen and improved so much. Even Albert said, like, Malaysia, they just improved. They're just really, really good in the interview. So even for the players, man, there's no real like drama behind the scenes. There's no real like, oh yeah, we hate these Malaysian players. It's just, man, they're good. We want to try to beat them because they are good. And same goes for Malaysia. I think for the longest time, they're looking at Indonesia as the nation closest to them, right? Like in terms of skill. Because Philippines is number one there, up ahead. Malaysia's got to reach the Indonesian level first and then go towards Philippines. And right now the hype is already around Malaysia after beating Indonesia 2-0. They maybe have already, you know, gone to the same level as Indonesia.
We'll see. We're going to take a look at the lineups here once again for Indonesia. We have Boots, Albert, CW, Sands, and Keyboy. And again, Boots, we know now, after the interview earlier, he's coaching them, right? He's coaching them. CEO Boots. And so it's been Lutby, of course, playing and doing a fantastic job, if I might say, for Lutby. Really a key part of this success that they've been having. And I think you mentioned, right, he is a rookie. Was it his rookie season, this past one for the MPL?
Yeah, this is his rookie season. This is his first time ever playing professionally. Before this, he was playing in the second league, right, in MDL. So he does have experience playing there. But against, you know, the top tier players, all that, and especially internationally, this is his first international event, even before MSC, right? So they haven't flown out to Riyadh just yet for MSC. They're still here to qualify and to fight for the seeding. They've already technically qualified. But for the rest of the team, we've seen them many, many times before, bro. It's Albert, CW, Sans, and Keyboy. Definitely not a stranger to these names, especially in the international scene.
Yeah.
We have seen them, I think, all the way from season 7 for Albert. No, wait, it's 8. Season 8, it was Onyx RQ. So it was Albert, CW, Sans, Keyboy, Vin, all those names that you guys probably know to this day. But for Malaysia, that's what's really crazy about them, right? This is a team who don't have as much experience, maybe aside from Yums, when it comes to the international scene. And the fact that they're able to perform at this level already, it's crazy.
Yeah. Impressive. Even if you look at some of these names, they're very familiar for a lot of people that have been following maybe just the international scene in general, but also specifically the Malaysian scene. You have Yums, Stormy, Skies, Gojes, and Lolil. And, you know, this was the team that I feel like just a couple days ago made waves online. Like, for a lot of people, they were like, you know, saying a lot of stuff about the matchup from Malaysia and Indonesia the first time they met in the group stage. And, you know, we're all for it. Be a fan. Yeah, just don't be toxic, right, guys? I mean, come on, keep it civil out there, because at the end of the day, there's no bad blood, of course, between these players, these teams, and they just really love to play competitively against each other time and time again, whichever world stage they're going to find themselves on. And at the end of the day, remember, these two teams are both winners. They're both going out. They're both flying to Riyadh later this year, and, you know, they're going to be in Riyadh a lot this year. Let's just say that. So I think for Malaysia specifically, they're the team that can match up and maybe, like you said, maybe even go above what we've seen from Indonesia before. I mean, already they've proved that. That's number one, at least through the group stages. Now, I'm just wondering if Malaysia is actually able to maintain that standard that they already set early on, because to be able to do that, and I think as Malaysia as a region for the longest time they've always been around, like, you know, in these international competitions. But even our dear friends from Malaysia, like we know what they say about, you know, the competitiveness on the international stage. They're usually happy with, you know, getting certain places. Maybe it's not first through 3, but they're happy to be there. Maybe it is third. But I think the main point that I'm trying to get to is, for Malaysia, these players have improved so much on even some of their respective teams that they've come from, and now they're forming this national team. Their improvement has come through, and the synergy that they're able to play with against a team that relatively has a lot of synergy. I mean, Indonesian team is no joke. Obviously, they're one of the best in the world here. But Malaysia, from what we've seen, is getting there, and I think it's getting more apparent that you really have to respect this play style from Malaysia. A lot of the time, a lot of people already respect the play style of Philippines, Indonesia. You know, they're usually the 2 countries that pop in your head. But Malaysia, what they did already in the group stage, if they can do it again in this best of 1, I know it's only for seeding, but if they can do it again here, then they even further that theory of, man, Malaysia has gotten so much better over the years, over the time. And, you know, remember, here in Iesf, guys, there's no imports, so we can't go and argue all that stuff, right? This is national players, national teams duking it out. And the thing I love about Malaysia so far is, like we just heard from the interview, the amount of uniqueness to their drafting. Their playstyle typically stays the same, but they love to experiment. And if it's not meta, it doesn't matter. If they can make that hero work in the current way of the meta, they'll do it. And that's what I love to see.
I think that's what everybody loves to see. Finally, a breath of fresh air when it comes to the meta, right? From the Southeast Asian region. Because technically from the African regional qualifiers or the first few days of Asian regional qualifiers, yeah, we've been seeing a whole lot of different picks, unique picks, which is cool to see. But now for the Southeast Asian teams, especially Malaysia, you know, part of the big 3 when it comes to the major regions, going for risky moves in the draft makes it just so much more engaging as a viewer, as a caster especially, right? Whenever they go for the Aurora, the Kagura as well, there's always, you know, a little bit of a smile there, a little bit of happiness for us.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say for both of us, right? As an Indonesian, as a Filipino, the Philippines and Indonesia, and for Indonesia as well, they've been top 2 for so long. It's about time we see a new nation, a new region take control. maybe, you know, we never know here, but maybe
I'm just shaking my head.
Yeah, but
I might not be agreeing with you, but I'm just shaking my head up and down.
But especially considering, Niso, World Champions will also be in Malaysia. We're going to have a World Championship later on in Malaysia. So if Malaysia can continue this upwards trend towards the next season as well, it's going to be really, really cool to see the Malaysian support and all of that. But obviously, you know, I agree, but I also have to disagree sometimes because I'm an Indonesian, you know. It's cool to have these new regions come up, but I don't need to explain that, right? There's that national pride, obviously, that you want to, you know, support your country every single time. That's why we're seeing so many of those fans as well in the live chat, right? So shout out to all the fans who are actually just supporting your team, supporting your nation here in the competition.
Yeah.
Don't be toxic, guys. You know, I see a lot of toxic comments as well, but okay, it's cool to see, you know, for the most part, at least most of the viewers, they're kind of chill. They're just watching the game, you know, watching the game and looking at the game in
You know, I would say that out of all the viewers, it's probably a small percentage that are actually, like, you know, in the chat and stuff, because so many viewers, like, I mean, think about
Hello.
that you watch the titles. Are you really sitting there, like, typing away on the chat, or are you watching the game? Like, I don't know, maybe this is because I'm older, but I don't even open the chat when I'm watching sports or esports. I close it, and I sit back and watch. So, you know, some people
sakit pinggang, oi.
that's their thing.
Baring kejap tadi.
But at the end of the day, like I said, both these teams have already secured their slots, representing their countries, and looking to bring further pride to them. I think that's the main point here, especially for Iesf. And knowing that, once again, you know, some of those slots are being locked in. We saw a lot of this throughout the past. This is day 4. I feel like, you know, now that we've gone from Africa and then we did Asia here, Mirko, like, I feel like I can't keep up sometimes with the days that are going on right now for Iesf, you know. And of course, like, even after we close out today for Asia, we still have Europe, and then we have Americas. Like, we have those for MLBB. And then eventually we get to Riyadh, you know. So for the most part, like I said, there is so much
Rupanya
happening
Stormy
here with
memang
the lineups.
20%.
We've seen
Iya,
so
itu
much from
memang
these two
gue.
teams as well as we jump to the
Kalian.
Bradford game.
Ini apa
Number
letak
one,
Kamboja
the
lagi
game, I
ni?
should say, as it's a best of one. So,
Oi,
you
oi,
have
letak
everything
Indo,
to
oi.
decline here. You
Marah
gotta
orang
do it
Indo
for
ni.
game number one, as it's the only one, and also for
Nak check
Malaysia. Interestingly enough, I'm not sure if we're going to get that to see that again, but it looks like they banned out the Fanny to start out. I think this is going to be the battle of obviously these two junglers again that we got to see, and I think it's very exciting to see unfold depending on what Albert also brings to the table in terms of his hero choice.
Ngantuk
Because
gue
so
lihatnya.
far when these teams have played against other teams and on the live stream, we've seen the teams they face ban out like all the assassins that they can. You know, so I think we did get word they're going to fix a couple things here on this overlay, of course, because they had some typos they had to get there. But still, here we go. There you go. Right.
Terbalik.
But the bans were the same. So it was that Fanny ban. You can see this too, Nolan. So I think.
Yang bukan aja lah yang bikin UI gini.
We have Malaysia on the red.
Indo cakap Malaydesh enggak bilantak mereka lah. Malaydesh. Malaynya lah.
Is number one still, right? I think for Indonesia especially, well actually for both Indonesia and Malaysia, whenever the Harith is left open, they even prioritize the Harith still over the Roger. So I'm expecting the Harith and the Roger still to be left open. They're probably going to go for the Chip and the Lo Yi as the final bans here. But even if they don't, maybe the Angela ban will come through. I think for Malaysia, they've got to, think about that, whether they want to ban the Angela or they want to try to threaten the Angela Ling on the second phase. Because technically for the Ling, it's still up for grabs. And for Indonesia, I think they're pretty confident now to utilize the Ling. I don't know if the Ling and the Angela get left open. I don't know if they actually want to go for Angela first, Ling first, Harith first, or Roger. But I think
lantak lah nak cakap
if the Ling does
trofi
get left
Melayu.
open, or if the Angela does get left open, right? Because if you don't pick up either the Angela or the Ling,
lantak mereka sih biarin aja.
But they stopped that before
Perigi mampus. Orang bilang Perigi mampus.
And now it gets
Peri si platipus.
to try to decide, but it doesn't seem like it was tough at all. They actually just lock in the Ling.
Lah.
Confident with Albert on the Ling. We did see a
Habis lah Ling Albert guys. Nama Stormy pun Haziq. Iya, nama dia Haziq.
Johnson Kadita combination.
And vacuum.
If it's anything, it's their playstyle. I almost feel like this is also in a way for them to just, Malaysia's probably like, you know what, let's have some fun with this. But these are still actually quality picks because, like we said, you will not see many teams pick up Johnson. You'll see teams pick up Kadita, sure, but Johnson right now, there's not that many teams out there. Malaysia will do it though. Now, how does Indonesia respond?
Tengok kenapa dia pakai Johnson? Sebab RD squad pakai Johnson.
Interesting. All right, Zask.
Membuat meta.
For this game and the Masha locked in.
Zakuti mere.
All right. Interesting. I think we're gonna have a fun game on our hands here, Mirko.
We get it. It's a best of one.
Mirko Marco.
You don't really need to go for the
Zakuti mere.
picks, but we were talking to
Bukan sekis. Zakuti.
They do like their own metas. They like to be creative.
Mungkin simpan meta guys. Mungkin simpan meta sebab ni
this is borderline crazy. It's not just off meta, right? Same goes for the Zask as well. It was the last time we saw
sebab ini pun udah pergi ke Riyadh orang bilang. Udah pergi ke Arab. Menang kalah enggak kisah ini. Enggak tahu. Tapi mereka cuma fokus di semi aja. Udah masuk grand final ini udah bagus. Enggak tahu mungkin Aldos.
It makes sense technically on paper, right? You have that global presence with the
Wait.
Aldos. That's something that a lot of teams
Res, ada cakap dah Res. Ni meta RD squad Res.
But I think now as we get towards the second phase, Indonesia will start banning out at Moscow, the marksman as well from Malaysia, because Lolio.
So aja itu dari masa depan RD squad. Enggak. Gue itu udah bilang pada RD squad dari dulu lagi. Dari first kami bikin squad itu gue bilang RD squad ini untuk membuat meta, bukan menggunakan meta tournament tapi membuat meta sendiri guys.
The idea for this is almost just like, you know what? We both locked in our slots. Let's go.
Baru-baru ni tim gue makan Aldos guys.
Like as much as possible. just or maybe this is
Johnson, Aldos.
The interview for Malaysia was like, do you guys let the players pick their picks, the draft, or is there like a communication between you guys, the coach, and everything else? Maybe this was just like, you know what, hey.
Gua nggak bohong, kalau lihat di TikTok itu memang kami selalu mainnya Aldo, hero-heronya merapu guys. Lihat di tournament mereka pakai.
You know, but even this Zask pick, I feel like I've seen now a couple streams even pop up where you have like these Zask mains playing this quite a bit in the new system, ranking it up. Yin is banned out. Man, we missed the Yin Roam, by the way. Bring that back. You know, bring it back to the table, but. Interesting last couple bans from Indonesia. I don't even know what to guess at this point with these first picks, first phase for both these teams.
Tak kala remake balik.
For us to guess here, so let's just sit back and see what both teams around this out with for their last two picks.
Aldos kot. Ni memang nak have fun ni kot.
To just be like, okay, where do you put Aldous?
Meta Ciki. Dah meta tabrak.
Oh man, I don't want him in my rank game. That's number one, right? If you tell me to choose,
Joy. Zacuti man.
I guess now.
Dah kena kerja, kena tabrak lagi.
And it's gonna be the Joy as well. So Joy goes to the jungle. I think.
Big brain.
I think the gold or the XP should be okay. You know what? Maybe even the mid lane, honestly. Have you ever seen the Aldous mid lane? Because you get more minions in the mid lane early on, so you can get more stacks. That was Bellaric as well. Oh my god, yeah, both Indonesia and Malaysia, they're just gonna utilize this to try to like weed and test the waters. These are some crazy picks, man, and that's Selena to end things off. That's Keyboy on the Selena. All right, let's take a look at Malaysia. What's their last pick gonna be? We're not gonna see a marksman, I think, especially now looking at the composition from Indonesia. And it's Saber! No, man!
Saber, Riz.
I'll take the Aldous, I'll take this composition, I'll take anything. Oh, wait. It's also Zacuti who's going to be playing, by the way. So, a swap in jungle? Yeah, no skies. It's Zacuti.
Okay, so it's jungle. Yeah. So
3 match lagi ke? Iya, 3 match. Lihatlah kalau Indonya power dua aja. 2 game aja kalau menang dua turret. Kalau satu-satu kiranya 3.
Wait.
Is this real? We got to wait till we get in the game. This is almost like fun match territory, right?
Yeah.
Go out with a bang for the seeding.
Are they aware that this match is, for the seeding, or do they think it's just like, formality? Because based on the draft, I don't think this is something we can say is normal. We don't see a lot of these picks. Maybe the Kadira. Yeah, we see the Kadira, but that's it. Ling.
Well, it looks like it was.
Saber room. Saber.
On the Ling. So let's jump into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have some fun here. You guys can let us know which.
Bisalah kalau Malaysia menang tak tahu gue. Ininya hero kan. Ini kayak main di rank guys. Hero-hero good. Hero-hero kat RT squad ini. Cumanya Saber enggak pick lah. Saber kami jarang pilih.
Let's jump into the land of Dawn here. Both teams once again have secured their slots to the WEC.
Serius gue ngaku, gue main Johnson, tim gue itu Johnson. Main Aldos Rom lagi guys. Menang. Enggak percaya gue ada record gamenya guys.
I mean even Keyboy running the temporal rain on the Zask this time. It'll be fun to see if this actually ends up working out pretty well.
Gak bohong.
We'll say, man, with the
kalau gue live-nya pakai hero tu mereka bilang, "Oh, tiru meta." Enggak tiru meta, udah buat metanya kami. Memang matilah guys, Saber. Memang mati. Sun pun mati, ha? Res, asal Sun jungler res. Ni semua simpan. Ni semua main fun-fun res. Bazir lah ni. Ini semua nak simpan taktik ni res.
Come on Albert.
Mana-mana videonya tak ada pun. Itu kat TikTok. Res, ni memang betul-betul simpan meta res. Simpan taktik ni, anjay.
He wants to be stacking up on this Aldous. He wants to be taking.
Baru perasan Albert main roam. Cewek main fighter. Anjay.
And technically didn't get anything, no resources back. It's still not that bad. This Go just does.
Guys, game ni troll guys, game troll.
They are gonna go for it.
Ini main fun. Ini simpan. Ini simpan apa orang bilang?
Sans keeps on going at it. Doesn't have the purple buff just yet. Sans jumps in retribution and we'll be able to find it. Zach QT is go for the triple sweep. He doesn't even have it. Sans has it from his ways and we'll be able to use it under the turret. That's gonna be the tanking coming in from Keyboy. One last hit, Sans.
Ini simpan taktik guys, simpan taktik. Serius. Ini simpan taktik guys. Kerana di MSC tu mereka jumpa lagi guys. Ini simpan taktik ini. Bazir masa guys, bazir masa. Kalau second game mereka kayak gini gue end live. Tak percaya? Meh orang tunjuk. Wait lah, orang tunjuk. Kita buka TikTok. Serius. Itu ni. Itu mereka simpan taktik guys. Anjay, simpan taktik. Karena di MSC mereka ni. Ini petang tadi gue live. Ini lihat. Ininya gue retry kayak tapi enggak live. Semalam gue kena ban guys. Enggak ada. Semalam gue boleh tengok replay live. Boleh kalau di TikTok itu bisa nonton live, replay live. Bisa lihat. Videos are available for 30 days. Sebulan aja. Mana ya Ardos? Ardos banyak guys. Ardos room. Itu minggu lepas. Entah gue lupa udah. Tanya. Tengok.
Anyway, okay, saya
tolonglah Cip jangan ban. Please.
Last tapi hari lah.
Trust the process. Bukan.
Tak boleh lah. Okay lah, bye-bye.
Bukan. Ini gila, gue bosan. Aldos Rom guys, benar Aldos Rom. Gue udah main Johnson, ada Sun lagi. Tapi ini gue rasa fun match lah ni. Ini fun match. Ini main for fun guys, simpan meta. Link apa kat bio? Link social bus. Gue udah bisa letak link di TikTok. Letak link social bus ni. Kan di YouTube letak di chat. Kalau TikTok letak di chatnya enggak bisa copy, enggak bisa klik. Harus di bio. Gue bisa di bio udah. Ini main kayak rank guys. Ni kalau second game mereka terus gue end live. Serius. Kalau mereka simpan meta, gue overlife aja. Dah tahu ini mereka enggak ini main saya saja. Lihat Johnson ya guys. Lihat Johnson. Weng, brum, boom. Tabrak ubi guys. Bro.
Okay, CW doing damage back. Thunderclap gets caught by the fade. Gorgeous with the shutdown. And in the 7th minute, we've already got Rabbit touchdown again onto the back. Gorgeous dealing damage, and he might not need the 900 stacks. Maybe he's stealed enough.
He's there already. He's got it already, and he's 5, 2, and 3. Aldous, though, I mean, the burst damage with Gojez and Zach Cutie already should be an automatic kill. That's not even with Stormy. Stormy at some point, like there's so many just 1 kills that they could get. Once again, Yums is going to drive it with Stormy. So it's up to the rest of the team. We're really going to spot this out. Turtles up though. It's already going to be started there with Keyboy. Might just make their way.
Kenapa ya saja boleh ikut tournament? Oh, ini diwakilkan oleh negara guys.
In towards them, but that's not going to be enough damage right now. That's going to be the electrifying piece with the triple sweep used up, and that's a chase
Malaysia
again to dive
sepatutnya dia bisa, Malaysia tu bisa. Dia bilang apa? Mau panggil, mau campur SRG, Homeboys, tapi Homeboys enggak mau. Homeboys bilang enggak mau. Dia bilang kasih aja pada SRG. SRG pun menerima. Patutnya campur-campur gitu. Ini untuk ni wakil negara. Negaranya pilih, bukan sendiri. Homeboys Malay. Iya, Homeboys Malay. Homeboysnya SRG lawan itu hari itu. Homeboys kan 3 orang pemainnya Malay. Mau campur-campur. Tapi owner Homeboys bilang dia nggak mau. Dia kata nggak apa-apa, bagi aja pada pemain lain. Mau kasih peluang, orang bilang. Jadi Malaysianya ambil SRG. Ia tergantung pada negara. Ada yang mau campur, ada yang mau pilih satu tim.
Johnny Boys, man.
Johnny Boys. Into a Johnny Boy there. That's the least.
Gorgeous RSG. RSG, bukan dia ni. Homeboys Academy.
They just call the Dominators the center, all of
SRG.
Going for the chase.
Look at the threat from this Belric.
Oh no, look at the threat of the 3 members jumping in with Thunderclap as well. ZaQT, where did he go? CW forced to flicker back, looking gorgeous though.
RSG Loliel tu, Loliel.
Rapid touchdown and the chase fade. Look at the global presence connecting on the Albert in the back line with the Rapid Dry connecting as well. That's gonna be Keyboy versus 2 members. Able to flicker out for now. It's a petrify on the Sands as he gets some damage back on the Yums. It's a kill now, picked up by Loliel. It's a good run to the ocean as Loliel goes ham. Wild in the skirmish.
Dah lah, ini main ni. Serius. Kalau game kedua main kita end live. Baik gue main game perang guys. Ini enggak kisah pemenang, ini semua simpan taktik ini. Ini semua main-main, lihat kill. Mana ada pahal main-main. Simpan taktik guys. Sebab apa gue bilang simpan taktik ni? Gue bagi tahu. Ini semuanya simpan taktik guys.
I don't know. It is going to be a Lord though up top side, and once again Yub's driving around.
Karena di MSC nanti guys.
Still Sands is around the corner, but they'll go ahead and just take a trip. And you know, this is the thing for Indonesia, if they actually want to stay in this game here, you're gonna have to deal with this Lord the best way they can. They don't. I think defense-wise is okay, defense-wise, because they even have a Zask, but with the force of this Yums driving around in this threat just like this.
Oh, left the ocean into the rough waves. The combo CW disappearing from Atlanta Dawn around that orange buff. Now they continue this chase. That San's getting knocked up. Triple sweep from ZaQT and the Sky Piercer. be enough to take Sans down. Now with the Lord up top as well. They might be looking for a full-on fight. Lippy getting a taunt, massive taunt.
Lihat.
Four members. Keyboard with dominance are sent. Now forced to flicker back. The
Karena
chase back. Oh, he gets
SRG jumpanya Onyx juga nanti guys.
It's going to be a double kill.
Nih, SRG jumpa Onyx di satu grup nanti. Yang lawannya sekarang ini juga SRG lawan Onyx ah. Lihat, SRG menang. Ini semua main-main aja guys.
Man, oh man. Congratulations, Malaysia.
Nantinya jumpa lagi Onyx.
The best of one. Oh, against Indonesia. Again, guys, just so everybody knows, because I know some people probably jumped into that
Selangor
game.
Jaya jumpa Onyx. Di sini pun lawannya Onyx.
Teams Indonesia and Malaysia have already secured their slots.
Ini semua main-main ini. Gak tahu mungkin second game main serius gak tahu. Gak main game bang, gak. Tak tahu main game perang gue, tak tahu. Ini pun kita tengok kalau game kedua main-main kita main game perang terus. Kita main listed. Oh, SYS tu see you soon. Ya, see you soon. Yang tadi itu Cambodia itu. Tengok guys, Marco face reveal. Itu Marco guys ni, Marco. Nih, grup SRG itu semua juara negara, juara MPL guys. Kamunya SYS tu juara, Onyx tu juara. Ada satu tim Arab tu juara. Ini Marco. Marco orang Sarawak Cina. Ini Marco.
I don't think they get a chance to do that at all, right? And we get to see the highlights. It does seem like the entire game was just a highlight reel. So nice to always restart. First blood, Sans traded by Lolio. And then this
serius. Kalau game keduanya ngetro lagi gue end.
Yeah, I mean it started like you said throughout this
hari Sabtu kita nobar guys, Sabtu. Be ready.
This is one of the games that I've played before.
Homeboysnya main pukul 8 dan 10. Sambil nobar sambil gue MML, tapi ML tu gue enggak share lah. Kalian nonton MST ni.
Locked in, like immediately locked in and then picked up and put in the gold lane. Yeah, I say locked in. Like I'm not even right now. I should say I'm not even high enough rank to have bans. Oh, CW, by the way.
That's such a funny one. Oh my lord, we didn't get to see that. That was actually really fun.
Yep, he was able to dodge that. But yeah, I guess for both these players, it's funny because when we built up to this, it was like we were asking them, who would you like to face off in the playoffs and the grand finals and everything else, and then. Hey, we didn't know they wanted to do it in this way, but
I don't think anyone knew.
Yeah, I think one thing you guys can count on though is once we do get to the WEC in Riyadh, and if these players, get to match off against each other, expect a highly competitive match, just like this one. I mean, it was competitive in its own right, but at the WEC, I know these two teams are definitely going to want to go ahead and settle, I feel like, a score in a sense. So for me, this is a really good way to settle a score with some fun to it.
For sure, and we get to see it here. Oh my god, man. I mean, just fights after fights after fights. At this point, there's no analyzing. It's more just reacting, right?
Aku bukan Cina guys, aku Marco guys.
Let's duel it out. Gojez definitely felt betrayed here. He thought,
okay, baik Marco. Marco. Game. Pop killer tu free. Walaupun dah tahu dah ending dia, tapi nak main tu macam best pop killer.
They definitely used that after that. After Gojez didn't get the fair 1v1, they were like, all right, none of you will get a fair 1v1. Everyone's just going to go in with the rapid touchdown and the chase fate. It's always going to be a man advantage for us.
Man, we're still looking at the highlights here too with this, and I think I was actually happy to see the bell ring, but when we were going through the Iesf, even in Africa for the qualifiers here, I feel like
ini mainnya banyak tabrak-tabrak guys.
Did we see it pop up once? I think we did, right?
We did, yeah. It was Belleric Flicker, remember?
It was Barrack. Yeah, it was XP lane, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was NLDB Women's for Africa Regional Qualifier.
That's right. We saw Belleric XP lane this time around. I'm actually wondering as I look at this too, like how useful would a Belleric Roam be, like in our current state of things? Like if it would actually be beneficial for teams or not. But anytime you're playing against a Johnson Kadita,
bayar.
There's much you can do, man.
Bayar tak puas.
Every single time that rapid touchdown is available, yeah, it's going to be tough to deal with. And even for the Zask, like the old Zask.
Kalau singgit tak apa.
They've been happy with some of the new changes, of course, coming up, and I feel like he could actually be pretty competitive. And even your
Main
ranked games out
tabrak-tabrak
there. Maybe
Johnson.
even Johnson could.
Aduh, Johnson main tabrak-tabrak ke.
You know, when you look at this and you look at the highlights here, you just got to appreciate the fact that they played their last game with some fun, and
Nama pun fun match ini dia.
as different as the meta is coming to head here, that we see some of these heroes even pop up. Who knows by the time we get to the WEC? You know, and it was all part of the plan of actually just getting the dust off and trying it out.
And this final fight, man, this final skirmish, T-Boy getting isolated by two beefy boys and Loliel as well with that damage. The Joy, dude, the Joy was nerfed, right? But if you take a look at his damage, it didn't feel like it was nerfed at all.
I don't speak Portuguese, but I can speak English. Barang ni diram.
The Joy looks like he's doing so much damage, but yeah, man, they're gonna go out with a bang. They're both already in Riyadh. Technically, they both already qualified to Iesf, the main event.
Kadita main air, ya. Pasifnya kalau di sini kan, kalau di sini air, lagi damage lagi sakit di sini. Kalau di air ni. Tempat-tempat lot, tempat-tempat turtle ini kalau itu pasifnya. Kalau bikin kuasanya di situ lagi sakit. Double damage kayak gitu. Ya ke iya, benar. Dia enggak lah double damage, tapi damage-nya lagi tinggi. Senang cerita double damage.
It was only a best of one. Again, I know some people were probably confused from that, but I can't wait to hear what.
Kalau kalian roaming seorang-seorang, hati-hatilah di rumput-rumput itu. Ada Selena, ada Kadita. Benar, betul. Air sedikit itu boleh tambah damage. Kan kuasanya air, di tempat air dia kasih damage. Kira itu pasifnya. Setiap hero ada pasif tersendiri.
Previous years of Sans, I've seen him now, but I actually look pretty good on the link. And even when the Masha popped up,
I don't speak English, but I can speak English.
Played the Selena timer too. It's an OG pick.
I don't speak Portuguese. Sebab dia abang so
the MVP
percaya.
is the country, you know? Just Malaysia. Malaysia's the MVP for this game. For this performance
Anjay.
as well.
Iya, gue nggak bohong.
I think the MVP too. I don't know. Loliel seems to be the one that will get the MVP. There's a solid KD there that, definitely pushes that MVP towards him. 10, 2, and 11, 68,000 damage dealt with the Holy Crystal as well. Yeah, I really don't know how to analyze this game. It's there's just
Serius, game kedua kalau mereka ini main fun-fun, gue off aja. Gue mau lihat kehangatan game itu, guys. Nampak gayanya harus lihat di MSC nanti, guys. Bulan 7. Awal bulan 7.
One more game. And you have that friend that starts it off with Pick and Johnson.
Yeah. I don't know when they're actually going to be flying out to Riyadh, by the way.
Bohong makan cili. Ya Allah, apa hal pula bohong makan cili? Sejak bila ada ni challenge makan cili pula ni?
Hey, that might be us too. That's true. That's us tomorrow, bro.
That's us tomorrow. You know what? Let's go ahead and get. I think we are going to hear from Gojez from. Here with us. Ring Gojez. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, can hear you.
Hey, congratulations. The grand final, what a game. Best of one. What a lineup you guys.
Ini gorgeous, guys. Ini gorgeous.
You can let us know because I know some of the viewers might have been wondering.
Di SRT itu dia nggak main, guys.
What was this lineup? What was it? What was the IQ behind this?
Dia itu sebaya gue, guys. Rasanya kalau kau second game main Aziz tamu ni.
This lineup is like one of the most
satu kali
strongest lineup in rank game, which is
bukan 2 game. Saya kata BO3.
Which you bring like Johnson, Kadita.
Dah habis, guys. Dah settle.
100 view
senang nak dapat 100 view buat Nobar je.
disable
Sebab orang akan mencari.
uh,
Orang akan mencari mana. Dia akan klik, lepas dia caw. Dia akan klik, dia caw. Dan lagi time I tutup kamera tu. Nampak macam real. Buka kamera. Boo.
Oh, it really worked, you know. And coming into this best of one now, all right. I just want to
Terus
know
terus.
your
Tu
thoughts,
pick
Gorgeous.
link
You
tadi mula.
qualified to the main stage, right? Even before this game, this was just like proceeding. But you qualified to the main stage. Which team are you most excited to go up
Terkumpulnya
against
para
later on
politik.
the main stage?
Astagfirullahalazim. Ni bukan para politik ni. Ingat PKP.
to have a rematch with
Gorgeous ni
Indo
sebagai
and,
gue guys. Lihat.
maybe Philippines.
Gorgeous
So
Satoru.
I got another question.
AKA
to add on to
Spider-Man.
that, right?
Bukan.
You wanna go up against
Tu
Indo, you wanna
Gojo.
go up against Philippines, Gorgeous. I've been watching you in
Udahlah
NBA
guys.
Malaysia.
Adik
You know,
gue
you're
bilang
quite
satu
much
game aja
better.
ini.
So,
Udah
I wanna
enggak.
know if you have
Udah
any
enggak dah ni.
words for them here, especially
Kita
after
end live aja guys.
technically with this 3-0, yeah? 2-0 in the group.
Ada
and
cakap
then
itu
another
tak main
best
ni.
of one. You wanna trash
Ada
talk or
message
is it
dekat
just
ML tu.
respect,
Dua-dua
Gorgeous,
orang message.
when you're representing Malaysia?
Kalau dia orang call masuk tak baca tu.
Yeah, maybe I will be in respect mode.
He's saving it
Hope we
for
get to see
the
that trash talk.
in-person, man.
For
Percaya pula
MSC
cakap
maybe,
adik.
right? For
Adik mana
SRG,
pula ni?
when later on SRG plays, maybe you can use that later for MSC.
Yeah. Maybe on the stage, not in this review.
Okay. Gojas, is there anything you want to say to
Naiso
everybody
ni
supporting
custom
Malaysia
mana?
for
Negara
ISF?
mana?
I know you guys have so much practice going
Naiso.
on for different tournaments, but you know, for everyone that is going to be following you guys for ISF and seeing
Okay
you
guys, kalau
compete
kalian mau
in
lihat
Indonesia
game
and
perang,
for
jumpa
your
di
stage,
TikTok guys.
Any words you guys want to say over
Ini
to
pun udah
your
habis ni
fans
game ni.
out there
Bye bye guys.
as you guys
Sayonara
get
guys.
ready to
Bye bye. Jumpa besok.
Everyone that believe us, thank you for all the supports.